Howdy, folks, and welcome to another live hangout. I'm joined by Fatheree, the great Fatheree, with his beautiful singing voice.
Do you want me to sing?
Did you sing it yet?
Do you- no, I haven't.
Okay.
I can't do Faith of the Heart because I'm saving that for my show. But I don't know. I can do Fuck the Pain Away. Like was sucking on my titties like you wanted me,
Oh,
calling me all.
copyright, copyright. Oh God.
Okay, yeah, we'll cut that shit out.
Just so if anybody's watching this on the replay, we're talking about Fatheree's channel, Text Trek, and if he promised that if he get 1,000 subscribers, that he would film himself singing in the shower.
Not that's 80% correct what
Okay.
PJ just said. But yes, that there will be a musical event on the live Text Trek show 1 week from tonight. That's what is that? The third
It's
29th?
it's New Year's
New Year's Eve
day before
Eve.
New Year's Eve. Yeah,
Yes, that's the 29th, I think. So yeah, but it'll be, next Friday. I will sing my least favorite song of all time, Star Trek Enterprise's Faith of the Heart, as promised, because the wonderful people of the internet and the Star Trek community has delivered or have delivered whatever the correct grammatical wording there, but it's been delivered to me 1,000 subscribers, so I'm extremely appreciative and grateful, and I will honor my word and sing a terrible song in a terrible singing voice.
can't wait. Uh, did a lot happen this year? A lot of people died. We lost a lot of TV shows too,
Yeah.
and
David Zaslav killed a lot of HBO content.
oh my god, and Warner Brothers is just like all out of sorts. But the biggest piece of news was that they're rebooting the DCEU, and I think they're just going to call it the DCU now. With
Might as well.
James Gunn and who's the other guy who's with him?
The shit.
James Gunn and some other guy have taken over. One
Yeah.
guy's the business side of it. That guy, whoever he is, I don't know his
Yeah,
name.
but he's also a producer. But yeah, he does, and Marvel. They're trying to copy the Marvel setup, which is a good idea. But Kevin Feige has his buddy that does the business side of Marvel Studios.
Yeah,
Lou,
the guy nobody remembers his name like
yeah,
me.
Louis DeSoto or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, that other guy.
Well, James Gunn and Joe Smith, whoever he is, uh, they've taken over now, and they said Cavill's out. Apparently, Aquaman is going to be the last thing in the DC EU, and then they're done. Not to say that Jason Momoa can't come back and play, say, Lobo in a Superman film, and it's not to say that The Rock can't come back and play like Darkseid or something. I mean, he has the build
Mm.
for it, right? So
Yeah,
it,
and it's even possible he returns as Black Adam if anyone is asking. I didn't think it was that bad of a movie, to be honest. I thought it was fun. It was fun, stupid, or stupid fun.
yeah, I was surprised at how quick it showed up on Crave here in Canada. I suppose HBO Max in the United
Mm-mm.
States, but I'm like, oh, Black Adam is it's still. I think it was still running. Like it wasn't like 2 weeks out of theaters or something. I don't know why it stayed there so long. I know Top Gun Maverick stayed in there the longest I've ever seen any movie for like as long as I can remember. Just like from the time it came out to I think it's still there. Top Gun Maverick, and it's out on Paramount Plus now. But yeah, Black Adam came out pretty quick. I watched it. Yeah, some dumb fun to be had, but man, at one point it's just like it's time to put her down. It's like this seems to. It felt like the nail in the coffin at one point. I was just watching actors on a green screen constantly. Like nothing looked real at one point. I was like, no, this doesn't feel like anything. It just feels like fake nonsense. It almost had the same problem at the end of Avengers Endgame, like that big finale.
Mm.
It's like sure it's epic, but none of it looks the least bit real. You're not even sure if the actors are there together. Like, but anyway, that's a minor quip. But yes, Pierce Brosnan was good. Aldous Hodge was good.
Aldous Hodge was a great Hawkman. Yeah, they that was actually one of the big draws to the. I wanted to see the JSA stuff, especially with those two.
Yeah,
I thought
like
they would do good, and they did. So I can't complain. I got what I wanted, I guess, out of that movie.
the conversing with Amanda Waller. I love when she shows up in anything. Uh, it's gonna be sad to say goodbye, but Peacemaker is pretty good.
That is something I have a lot of respect for James Gunn if they are just doing this clean slate, just kill everything and start over from scratch. Because yeah, he had a hit show with Peacemaker. I know like the it probably didn't have like tremendously high views, but it was well loved by audiences and critics, and definitely something that they could have made a something big out of Peacemaker. You know, if they were able to maintain that quality for 3 or 4 seasons. But yeah, if he's willing to like sacrifice, like that's like he's like Thanos, like willing to like kill his own kid that he does love to get to the ultimate objective. Like that's some diehard conviction.
And there will be a season 2 though, and I guess I'm assuming that'll be the last. My idea was, you know, you still have that portion of fans that love the DCU, the Harley Quinn, and all of those characters that exist within the Suicide Squad and Aquaman and all these movies, and even Aquaman and Flash show up for the end of Peacemaker. Spoiler, sorry. It's just a cameo. It's brief, and you see like a silhouette of Superman and Wonder Woman because they couldn't get Gal Gadot.
They got a Gal Gadot shaped woman and a Henry Cavill shaped man, and just like, okay, we just need your silhouettes.
Yeah.
That's it.
The one thing I won't miss though is Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman 1984 was so atrocious. It was the new. It was Supergirl 1984, is what it was. It was that level of nonsense. Like if you remember Supergirl, it's like Faye Dunaway, is an excellent, legendary actress, is just reduced to like playing like a stupid witch with her roommate, and like this gray haired guy who's like a complete pushover, and none of it makes sense. Like, okay, for example, like when she goes behind it, like she changes into her from Supergirl to Kara, whatever her name is. What is her name in
Laura.
Laura, yeah. She just walks behind a tree, and it's like she's changed.
I mean, to be fair, the Christopher Reeve Superman movies had dumb shit like that.
Oh,
like
yeah.
him making like Lois forget with a kiss, or when he threw the plastic S
Yeah,
at
it's like
Zod.
cellophane or something.
Yeah. But Helen Slater was a good Supergirl. Like she did her job.
I loved the movie when I was a kid.
I did too.
I the first time I watched it was a marathon on the movie channel that we got. Like you get free previews, like the unscrambled channels. And one night, it was like Superman marathon. I was like, okay. So I watched Superman 1, 2, 3. Didn't even know Superman 4 existed. Had no clue. And then I was like, oh, this is different. This is not the same quality.
It's different, all right.
And then right out the last one was I remember like to 4 o'clock in the morning I was like watching this Supergirl movie, and I was just in love with the main character. And I like the flying. If some of the effects are pretty cool.
But some of the best flying out of any of those movies.
But when it got to the end, when she's like being stretched by the tornado monster, whatever it is, and it's like these really bad effects. Peter O'Toole is hilariously wasted.
I forgot that he's in that. Yeah, Peter O'Toole.
Oh.
He's one of the dudes back on was it Candor, the or Argo City? Which one did they go with? I can't remember.
Argo City, I think.
Okay. Yeah, he's one of the Kryptonian survivors there, right?
And that whole set, it's made of like plastic, or like saran wrap or something.
Yeah. It's like they clearly didn't have the budget of the 1978 movie, but they wanted it to. Oh, we want people to think it's like this from the same Krypton, but we don't have Richard Donner's money, so.
Exactly. Speaking of Supergirl, we're gonna get her in the Flash, which, by the way, they're gonna premiere a trailer for during the Super Bowl. That's some American
Hmm.
thing that you do. I don't know. I have no idea what it is.
It's
Uh,
basically everyone in the country has to get like their own bowl, and we all like combine our bowls into one massive bowl, and we call that the Super Bowl. And then we all eat soup out of it.
wow, that sounds unhealthy, uh, unsanitary.
Well,
Are you excited for the Flash? Like the only reason I don't think I'll see it in the I don't think I'm going to see anything in a theater again as long as the one that exists in my city exists because it's pointless. It's absolutely pointless. Went to see Suicide Squad in IMAX, mind you, IMAX when that came out. Immediately, I had to watch it when I got home. I said, "Fuck that! I'll just watch it the way it's meant to be watched" because it was so dim. The very beginning of that movie, it's a broad daylight. It's with Michael Rooker and he's throwing the ball and shit.
hmm.
It was like right away as soon as the thing, and it's happened so much in the theater where people must get the impression that the movies look cheap. And I first noticed, and this has been going on for years, by the way. I first noticed it during Alien vs Predator Requiem. I went and saw it with some friends, and it was dark as hell, like too dark to see, like the night stuff. I was like, "Oh, this movie's just poorly made." It is poorly made. It's got some good parts, but when you watch it on like TV or something, it's like, "Oh, I can see everything. What's the deal with that?" So I had other friends like, "Didn't you notice that movie was dark?" He's like, "Yeah." And since then, like Wolverine, I remember X Men Origins Wolverine. What a piss poor presentation that was. Like the movie just, it's literally like they have the dimness turned down on the bulbs and they just don't give a shit. Clerks 3 was the same thing.
Well, X-Men Origins Wolverine is gonna suck no matter what bulb they're
That's what I was.
using.
It's a bad movie on top of the fact that it was
Yeah.
dim and that was back when they had before the digital projectors. But when they got the digital projectors in 2009, the first one I saw was Star Trek. Looked immaculate. I couldn't believe it was bright and it was displayed properly. That didn't last too long. They're like, "Oh, it's too bright.
Mm.
Let's just save some money and turn that bulb
It
down,"
was
which
the
theaters do
JJ
all the
lens
time.
flare, the JJ brightness of like they it
It
burnt out the bulb.
Yeah, they're like, "No, we can't project." And 3D is a huge problem because it's not as bright as it should be in the first place. On top of the fact that the film is over the glasses.
Hmm.
Now, 3D movies are meant to be projected as slightly brighter. Avatar is a perfect example of like they must have had a mandate because 2009's Avatar, when I saw that, had the best like noticeably superior 3D. I'm like, that's because it's just brighter. It's displayed the way it's meant to be. So I'm not going to theaters. Like even though I want to see Michael Keaton as Batman.
He might be removed from it though. It sounded like they were gonna shoot Well, no, I'm thinking of Aquaman. Right? Ben Affleck is shooting new stuff for Aquaman,
Oh, is he?
but yeah, but I think they might have taken Keaton out of the Flash, which is funny because they're still paying Michael Keaton. Like he still gets paid for Batgirl, even though that movie will never be released.
I think that would be a big mistake though, because a lot of people want to go and see it just because Michael Keaton's Batman is making his
Yeah.
return, and he's apparently a big enough part of the story that I don't think. I think they took the Henry Cavill stuff. Didn't Henry Cavill probably have a cameo or something that they taken out?
Not that we know of. They might have had
No.
plans to shoot something. I mean, like he came back for Black Adam, so that was kind of a big deal.
So super. It's going to be Flash, another Flash who's also played by Ezra Miller, Supergirl, and Batman.
Hmm. Yeah, they're borrowing some stuff from the Flashpoint comic, which in that comic it was Barry Allen creates alternate timeline. He tried to save his mom. There's an animated adaptation that's been streaming on several services on and off for the last almost decade at this point. But in this alternate timeline, Barry encounters a Batman that's actually Thomas Wayne. That night in the alley, it was little Bruce who was shot instead of the parents, and Martha goes insane, starts wearing makeup on her face, calling herself the Joker, and Thomas becomes the
The
Batman.
Batman, yeah.
And I think, but he's like an old, grizzled, bit of an alcoholic Batman. He's kind of an asshole. And I think like with the older Michael Keaton, they were going to do like the old, grizzled veteran crime fighter type thing. So I heard about like the footage they showed somewhere. But like apparently like at one point like Michael Keaton in the bat suit says let's get nuts, which is
Oh,
both
that's good.
hilarious and awesome.
That's good. Come on, you wanna go? And he's like, that's so that he's. It seems like they're gonna go to his universe. Like it's gonna be the Tim Burton
Yeah.
universe that had the Catwoman, Danny DeVito, Penguin, and
Earth 89,
Earth 89. There you go.
because they named it in the TV show that showed Knox reading a newspaper.
What TV show?
The Flash TV show,
Oh,
when they did a Crisis on Infinite Earths there, when they did that thing.
where Ezra Miller made a cameo.
Yeah, which I assume Grant Gustin repays the favor in this movie, but this movie has been changed, delayed, shot, reshot. Maybe it was going to get canceled. Oh no, there's going to be a trailer of the Super Bowl. Who knows? Like, I have no idea what the hell's in this movie at this point. I
And
do know that this whatever they show at the Super Bowl. How? Let me ask you, PJ, how much screen time do you think there will be of Ezra Miller's unmasked face in that trailer?
probably not much.
Yeah, I think maybe one shot, if anything.
That's why I think they need to rely on Supergirl and Batman in the marketing.
Show everyone but the title character.
Show the back of him or something. But assuming Ezra doesn't do anything, like I don't like him. I just, ugh. He's. I've seen enough videos of him. I'm just like, get help or shut the fuck up. Like, and the grooming and the weird thing with the guns and like, there's all kinds of wacky shit.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
they seem like someone who's probably a danger to themselves and others and does not need to be roaming the streets free.
Oh yes, I forgot they are non-binary. I was saying he, whatever. Um, so do you think the general public knows about Ezra's shenanigans? Because people
Um
say that like, oh well, the general public, and you know what? They don't cover it on. I watch Entertainment Tonight. They don't really talk about him. I'm like, isn't that interesting?
I think the people
Warner
who
Brothers.
know who Ezra Miller is probably know, but it's not like that's like a super famous name, you know.
Did you like Aquaman? Was okay. I have no interest in this sequel. It's like the same way I had no interest in the second Black Panther. I'll watch it when it's on the streaming services, but
It's too long.
Aquaman would be the last, I guess. So okay, if they haven't done Peacemaker yet, if they haven't like figured it all out, I have no idea if they're filming or not. But wouldn't this be the prime opportunity if this is going to be like Aquaman is going to be the movie send off of the DCEU? If he's really killing his darlings, like he says, um, and Peacemaker is the last TV thing, then wouldn't that be the perfect opportunity to bring in like more Suicide Squad members into the Peacemaker show? Like,
You know, what if they even acknowledge like the end of their universe, like the last episode of Peacemaker, which is like it's the end of the universe.
that could be good. In fact, have the show end with a universe collapsing event where it's like we can't go back now. Like there's no going back. No more Affleck, no more fucking Cavill, no more Gal Gadot.
I think they'll want to bring the same way that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield got to come back as Spider-Man again. I think that there will be some type of. I think Henry Cavill will be Superman again in some capacity, like some multiverse cameo will happen.
So with Batman, the Batman, Matt Reeves' The Batman came out
Yeah.
this
What do you
year.
do with that one? Do you leave it in its own sandbox, or do you fold that into your new universe? If you're James
No,
Gunn.
no, that would be like asking Nolan to have Superman join him in Dark Knight Rises. No, you can't do that with the Batman because they've grounded it, and all of a sudden you have. The interesting thing about the behind the scenes I never saw in the actual movie, but there were behind the scenes pictures because part of it takes place during Halloween,
Mm-hmm.
and there were people dressed up in costume on set as Superman and Wonder Woman. And I remember speculating at the time, are they characters in the universe or are they fictional characters
Hmm.
in the Batman lore? Like, this is not a fantastical world with gods and aliens and stuff. This is just like gritty Gotham. There's a level of realism that you can expect from this franchise that it won't stray from, kind of like Nolan. Like, I didn't never expect it in the Nolan films for like Flash to show up or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he stuck to it, even though Dark Knight Rises was sloppy as hell.
I think it might be possible to do something with the Batman in a bigger DC universe, though. But I think there needs to be a conversation between James Gunn and Matt Reeves. I think Matt Reeves was given certain promises about like you'll have like your own little microcosm, your own little Gotham universe with Penguin TV shows and whatnot. But if they had like some type of joint vision where they thought they could make it work, then I say go for it. Um, but yeah, I have no problem with if they're just like, what, the Batman needs to be on its own continuity. Okay, that's just like that's just a its own little pocket universe, and we'll have our different Batman for everything else.
And it's interesting that uh, the other Batman property, Joker, with Joaquin Phoenix, and now Folie à Deux with Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was a thing.
It's another pocket universe in the Batverse, although Matt Reeves has his Batverse in a sense. So you have what's coming is the new DCU, which is a slate of DC characters that can interact through movies, TVs, and games and all this shit. Then you have Matt Reeves' Batverse, which consists of the Batman, the Penguin show, and there was a canceled Gotham thing, and whatever else they're going to do there. And then you have the Joker stuff. If they say Joker 2 is as successful or more, they're like, well, 5 years from now, let's do a third Joker. How long before people start scratching their heads and saying, well, isn't Bruce Wayne like in his 20s now? Isn't he old enough to be Batman? What's going on there?
Yeah, people are already confused. Like I remember when there what was it that someone was asking me about? A friend of mine was asking me like, is this Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie, is that in the same continuity as oh no, it was the new Batman, when the Batman trailer, when it first came out. A friend of mine messaged me and asked me, is this in the same continuity as the Joaquin Phoenix Joker? And I said no. And he said, oh, so this is the Jared Leto Joker continuity. And I said no. And he was like, whoa, well, what the hell? Like, how many different Batman continuities are there? And I was like, well, yes, seems to be several ongoing at the moment.
And I think it's fine to have Matt Reeves' Bat first and the Joker stuff. Here's what I would do with the DCU. Superman, obviously, that's your
Mm-hmm.
that's your goat.
I want to
Like,
talk about that in a minute. Yeah, but yeah.
so make Superman the very first thing you need to do. And the first you can't do this thing where you start off with 2 or 3 movies a year. Just focus on the one, like you did with Man of Steel. Man of Steel, they kind of had an idea. Maybe we might expand into a They weren't. It wasn't 100% at the time, but they left the option open. But
Mm-hmm.
here, like they know that it's going to be a whole thing. Start slow. Start with Superman in that year whenever it comes out, maybe 2024, 25. Have it planned so that the very next year Not Batman. People are going to expect Batman, but Matt Reeves' film, you may have him do a trilogy. The second one it does well enough. Have him finish out a trilogy like the second, great Batman trilogy. Like Nolan was the first. Hold off on Batman. The second one you do is Wonder Woman, but you make it good. Like you make it really good. You make
I don't
it,
even like the first Patty Jenkins Wonder Woman movie. I know I'm an odd man out, but I don't like either one of those that much. I don't despise them. But I like even like the one that people liked. I was like, nah, like this ain't that good, y'all.
I liked it, but I really did not like the second one like that. I was done. It's like, yeah, if this is the universe, it's even like I understand that the Marvel universe is really out there and silly, and like the rules of reality don't apply. But for some reason, call me a snob, I expect a little more realism from the DC movies for some reason. I know DC almost seems like it should be like a little more grounded and darker in tone and spirit, and that while you can have a DCU with Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman and all this, it can't be like the end of Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, where it's like Doomsday and Wonder Woman. It's like all just lights and flashing CG nonsense. None of it looks real. Nobody looks like they're interacting with anything real. On top of the fact that Batman is just jumping around like a rubber doll, like kind of like how the visual effects looked on Spider-Man in the first movie, where it didn't look like a real person. It just looked like a rubbery kind of CG thing. And even Batman in Justice League is just like, he's wearing a paper thin kind of outfit, and it's like, dude, how are you? You've got to he's more super powered than he should be, and it's like, okay, suspension of disbelief and all, but if they're gonna reboot the universe, I just want them to have a little more believability in terms of like the science behind Superman. For instance, when Superman is in the place and he goes like that, they kind of do it now with the CW shows where like there's a wind machine that kind of blows wind at the people around, so it looks like the floor. But in reality, it should be like the Matrix Revolutions, that kind of flying physics. Like the force would like shatter glass in the surrounding buildings and stuff like that.
I don't really like the like destructive super. Like I think he should have like a little bit more gracefulness to him. Like
Yeah.
it always bothered me how like Zack Snyder always wanted like, yeah, anytime like he takes off or lands, there's like, like a shockwave that like you're like the
Yeah.
ground cracks. You're like it kind of makes him seem, I don't know, kind of like a dick. Like I think he should be able to just float up and go.
Yeah, like a man on wires.
Superman
But
Returns, like it didn't. There's some bad CGI in that movie, but kind of like the way that like they kind of handled, because they would still do stuff like sonic booms, or like he would burn as if he like came down to the atmosphere really fast, but it would like it knew when to allow him to be graceful. I think that was like a good balance.
yeah, he didn't do a lot of punching. He did a hell of a lot of lifting. We
Doesn't
know
punch
that.
anything. Like I think
Yeah,
he doesn't throw
he
one
doesn't
punch the whole movie.
He's lifting a lot of things, and like that
No.
kind of element to it was cool. But yeah, I liked his flying. I liked the flying better in Superman Returns than I did in Man of Steel. Man of Steel is decent, but I lose interest in the final battle in Smallville between him and Zod and the people, and we're just all smoke and fire, and blurry, and then going through a building, and this one going through a building, and just like the point of view angles of like that. One of the worst shots in that movie is the point of view of Superman as he's punching him, and Zod goes far away, and then he zooms in and punches him again, and zooms in. I'm like, this is just disorienting. It's like nothing. I'm looking at nothing. But yeah, they need to solve that. They need to make Superman, dare I say, more traditional in the sense of like a Boy Scout. And how are they gonna do? Okay, my idea was like you could set it in the 70s. You can go back to like the Donner era and reimagine that in a sense, You could do actually like a period piece that would be different, and I think it would intrigue audiences. Because that way, if you wanted to go into the 80s or 90s, Clark Kent Superman's going to look the same. But if you're going to do that, whether it's modern day or 70s, whatever time they set it in, how are you going to explain the glasses thing? Because that's dumb as shit. Let's just admit that. And the one good thing that the Man of Steel did with the lore was kind of dismiss that and say, well, let's have her know who he is, because if she sees this dude as Superman and then sees the same dude with glasses, she's like, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna work.
I think I think audiences will get behind that though, just because we're so used to it. It's the same way as like the bat signal. Like even the really grounded guys like Nolan and Reeves, they still have the bat signal, and that's stupid. Like you can't like shine a spotlight on a cloud and make it like reflect this bat logo to summon Batman. it's like it's like, but you know, like who the fuck wants to go see a Batman movie that doesn't have the bat signal in it? You know, so it's like people just who wants to see a Superman movie that doesn't have Clark Kent. So I think people would forgive that.
Well, in Superman and Lois, by the way, the second season is okay. I didn't dig it as much as the first.
I actually have not found time to finish the second season, but I like the show.
It gets really repetitive and tiresome, although it has some interesting elements of like bizarro elements.
Does it have a season? I liked the Bizarro stuff I saw. Did it get picked up for season 3, or is it in limbo?
I don't know. I never.
I haven't heard anything about it being canceled, but I haven't heard anything about it being picked up. But
well, considering the shakeup now, who knows?
yeah,
They could be filming it for all I know. But there is a part in that show where Lana Lang is up close and personal with Superman for the first time.
mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's season 2.
I've seen that. I know
I think it's season 1.
They're like standing out on the road, right? Or I'm thinking.
No,
Oh,
it's in a tent with
Yeah.
Diggle. What's his name? The dude from Arrow.
Yeah. Back when they thought those were going to be the same universe, but apparently they're not.
Yeah, and my instinct was, wow, okay, she's going to be this up close with Superman, and she's just going to go, oh, Clark. Because clearly it is fucking Clark without his glasses. There's not that big of a difference. She would either automatically know he was Clark, like, oh my God, Clark, why are you dressed up as Superman? Because the whole idea of the Clark Kent persona is that most people haven't seen Superman up close. He's kind of like, phew, he's so fast, he comes and he goes type of thing, and he doesn't stick around. Now, I get it with the 1970s version. That worked because Christopher Reeves was so brilliant in his portrayal as Clark Kent. Because his body language and demeanor, he was a big dude, like, just looking at him, oh, Clark's a big dude. But you don't necessarily think jacked or like a guy who works out. He's just like what's the word? It's like a big chode, I guess. I don't know. He's weird. He's just like a. He doesn't seem like a guy. Like even with when they get mugged, he has to act like a bitch basically. He has to be like, but he's catching the bullet and stuff.
Yeah,
that's the brilliance of it. Clark Kent in Man of Steel is just as cool as Superman. Like there's no difference in. It's just. So I'm glad they abandoned that. But if you could get an actor, I was thinking some actors. One guy, Jacob Elordi. And I'm thinking, okay, put glasses on him. People are gonna know. They're not gonna get one up close picture of Superman, and boom, Clark is that guy looks just like you. Take off your glasses, Clark. What if somebody asked Clark to take off his glasses? What's he gonna do? Run? It's weird. I love that part in the director's. I think it's the director's cut of the Donner cut of Superman 2, where Lois figures out Clark is Superman by drawing glasses on Superman.
I love in Superman 2 when you see, is that the one where you like see him do like the transformation like on screen, like from like he's just like standing there in the background and you see him go from like Superman to Clark Kent, and he just like changes the way he's standing, but like you see such like a big shift.
In the theatrical version, he she notices that his hands aren't burnt when they're in the fire,
Mm-hmm.
and then he does something where he straightens up,
Yeah.
and she kind of like, oh, and it's just that's the brilliance of his performance. It's just so subtle. But Tyler Hecklin, he's when he's Clark, he's just exactly the same as he is when he's Superman. There's no so when his best friend finally meets him as Superman, she's like, "Oh, Clark." And by the way, there hasn't been like pictures of Superman for the past 20 years that they can look at. That's another thing too. Setting Superman in modern day and having a Clark Kent persona, he'd be figured out in a second with all the technology around. So that's why I think it would be a good idea to set in the 70s or 80s. That was the point, I guess. Yeah.
I'm very, very excited about the idea of like this new movie. I think Gunn. I actually I said this a while back because like the first thing he did when he started as the head of DC Studios is he posted that picture of Clark Kent at a typewriter, and he said something like "first day at work on the new job," and I saw that, and it made me think, wow, is he writing something Superman? Because I mean, he posted a picture of Superman writing, so surely that must be what it. And I mentioned this to my friend Dave, who's on Text Trek with me, and another dude that works at the comic shop with him, and they were like, "Nah, James Gunn ain't doing Superman." I was like, "Why did he put this picture out then?" And you're like, "I, you know." They were just like, it's just, something DC really. I was like, this is so specific. It's not like a picture like Superman flying around. This is a picture of Clark Kent sitting at a typewriter. I think James Gunn is either going to write the script or kind of write the story and then have someone else finish the script for a new Superman movie. And then lo and behold, that is what they're doing. But I love that that's like their top priority is getting Superman right, because I think that's a huge that's a potentially like huge cash cow that Warner Brothers is just sitting on.
Well, when I saw that, I assumed, oh, James Gunn is writing the new Henry Cavill Superman movie. Turned out no, but yeah, I did see that. It's like the old school comic book picture of Clark Kent on the typewriter.
Mm-hmm.
And who do you think should direct it?
Well, the guy who did the Mission Impossible movies, he wanted to do a Superman movie a while ago, but I
Chris
think
McQuarrie.
part of that was like he wanted to work with Henry Cavill. So he's probably out, but he seemed like he might have been like a good dude for it. Um, but I don't know. Like honestly, like a lot of these dudes that have done Marvel movies, I think like there's a lot of people, they've worked with like these big budget superhero films. They'd be qualified to come over. I mainly am just eager to see like a good Superman movie, or no, I take that back, a great Superman movie, because there hasn't been one arguably since the first two. I would say arguably since the first one. The first was the only one that I consider great. And I feel like so many modern audience members have kind of like given up on Superman. Like they can't conceive like, oh, how could that ever be like cool or topical again? And I want that moment where like people are like, oh no, this is actually great. 20 years ago, no one would have thought like Captain America would be like a one of the most popular characters in movie history, but it happened. So people like that nice dude, that wholesome, like people love Keanu Reeves in real life because he basically has like the Clark Kent Superman like morals and values and stuff. And like I think when they're presented with a truly great Superman in a great movie that's a lot of fun, and audiences are won over by it, I think there's just going to be like kind of like this huge like Superman renaissance. And I'm really, for people who don't know, I like Superman is my favorite fictional character. I would say he's like the best fictional character of all time. And I always, when people push back against me on that, I always ask like, if you could pick any fictional character to be real, like who would you ask for instead of Superman?
I loved Superman for the longest time, and then I kind of like got into Batman more when Nolan's Batman Begins came out. I remember trying to convince everybody, like, no, it's different. I saw it. It's not like the Batman and Robin. It's not like, oh, it is like the Batman and Robin. I'm like, no, 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 you gotta watch it. I remember it was the last thing I rented on VHS, and my friends were like, oh, you were right. This is good. I'm like, see?
Yeah. And no one saw. I mean, some people saw it. I saw Batman Begins in the theater, but it didn't do. I guess one of us could pull it up on a Box Office Mojo. But if I recall correctly, it did what, like 500 million. It wasn't
Batman
huge.
Begins. Let's see. Batman Begins from 2005 was at a budget of 150 million, made 373
So
million.
okay, even less
That's
than I thought.
not a huge, not very successful for the budget. 150 million. I mean, and part of that was people like everybody I knew. It's like, I'm not watching another Batman movie. Batman is ridiculous. What are you talking about? No, no, no. But the guy who made the Prestige. What's the Prestige? And I'm like, ah, fuck.
But the word of mouth around that movie. And then when they were like, okay, we're doing the Joker in the next one, The Dark Knight was huge. Remember when it like kept breaking all those box office? People were like, is this going to be the Titanic killer? Is this going to be the? It wasn't, but it came down. It was the most profitable movie or highest grossing movie that wasn't the Titanic.
The first image that was ever released from The Dark Knight was the close up image of Heath Ledger's Joker. And then there
Yeah.
was another one of like him behind some like frosted glass or something. You couldn't really see him in the bank heist
Why
scene.
so serious poster? Yeah.
And the I remember the trailer was so great and got people excited because it started out with like Heath Ledger saying, "You've changed things," and it's like, what? And that trailer was the very first, not teaser.
Yeah.
There was a teaser with just voice, I think. And
Yeah,
like
yeah. That's the
playing
like
cards.
the card on fire. That's the some men just want to watch the world burn. And then you hear like Heath Ledger's like, I'm a man of my word.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so like ingrained in my. I remember like working at the plant and then like coming home and like reading all. I was big on the website batmanonfilm.com and like trying
Yeah.
keep up with the latest news and stuff. And superhero hype.com was kind of like one of my go-to news sites.
My favorite line in that film, I forget exactly how it's said, but it's like, "I found a diamond the size of a tangerine."
Tangerine.
But yeah, that was a great experience. That movie I watched. I went in 2008 with my friend. The opening day, not many people there, which
Oh,
is
it was
funny. It was
it
half
was
full.
lined up around. It was like a literal blockbuster. Like it was like a line wrapped around the theater when I went to the midnight release. I
Okay.
I took off work. I was so like excited for it. I took off work and I think I saw the movie like I took off 3 days and I saw the movie like three times. I think I saw it like once every day for like 3 days straight or something.
I remember there not being. There used to be midnight showings. They didn't do them like for everything, but this was the one where they didn't. So like the first showing was like in the morning.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, we've got to be. I told my friend Dan, I was like, we got to be there first showing because any other showing is going to be full and blah 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 because you didn't have a reserved seating or nothing like that. Which, oh, I hated those days having to wait in
Yeah.
line for a fucking movie. It's ridiculous.
I've spent so many hours
insane.
waiting in line.
But we went in. It was like, decent for the morning. I'm like, for a morning thing, it was okay. But I was like, I remember thinking maybe this movie's not going to be as popular as I thought. Not the case because it was fucking packed. I saw it twice. The second time I saw it, which was like 2 weeks later, it was packed. 2 weeks later.
There's more of that word of mouth.
And Heath and another thing too, Heath Ledger died before the
Yeah.
movie came out, and that was a huge deal.
He died in January and then it came out in July.
Yeah, that's crazy.
People were worried, like, did he finish shooting? I remember like Chris Nolan being like, yes, don't worry, look, it's very sad, but the entire movie was shot, we're not changing anything. That was also a bold choice. A lot of people bitched in the Last Jedi when they were like, why didn't you just kill Leia? Why didn't you like re-edit that to like make that be the death of Leia? But I kind of get like, okay, you deserve, you shouldn't have to like change your vision, for like real life shit like that. Like I remember like in 2008, some people were like they should have just had like Heath Ledger just fall and die and not. I was like, no, like this is the story that Christopher Nolan wanted to tell. Like, don't tell him to like change it last minute.
It's I thought The Dark Knight Rises they were going to recast. I'm like the Joker's going to be in the next one, but they're just going to recast. But they
Mm.
didn't.
I'm
So I
sure
was
that
like,
was the
oh, I get
original plan.
yeah, because like why they didn't kill him? So uh, he would have been a great. It would have been interesting to see how he would have continued that universe. But yeah, I think they should keep the Batman separate for now. Like do Superman, Wonder Woman, maybe do a new Flash. Who else? I
What
mean,
about
they
Green
could.
Lantern? What if they did like a good Green Lantern?
There you go. Have that be the third one. Wonder be or the third or second, and have Batman finish out his thing. And Batman, it could be the reverse of the Snyderverse, where Batman's been around for 20 years, and then Superman shows up.
No, you're gonna make him the rookie.
Yeah, this way Superman's been around for five, however many years, 10 years, and then Batman is like the young guy, but they look the same age, but Superman is older. Uh,
You know what I want them to do with Batman to make it be different from the we've had so much Batman over the years, but if they could do like Batman and his sidekicks, but make that work. I think that Batman would actually
isn't that Titans and stuff like all the
yeah, but I mean like I want like actually like Batman, Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, like the Bat family as they call them in the comics. Like I want that on screen. It's funny because I think Batman would actually work much better as a TV show than as movies, but the movies make so much money. Warner Brothers will always want to do it as movies instead of a show. And I think that's sad because there's such a cool like cast. You know, it'd be so easy to have like a cool cast of characters. You start off season one, like Batman has he's like adopted Dick Grayson. It's like Dick becoming Nightwing. Season two, the commissioner's daughter Barbara, like she becomes Batgirl, and like, so you bring her into the show. You know, season three, Robin and Batman like they hate each other now. He branches out on his own, becomes Nightwing, and you get like a new Robin. And I think that would just be there's such like a natural way to structure that and build like an arc that I wish they could do that.
I always thought Batman should be a live action TV series. Just like I think there will, not anytime soon, but I think also there will be eventually a Spider-Man live action TV series because the lore, the source material is so rich.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how you did so much to do. Like Gotham, for example, which had nothing, didn't even have Batman, took so much, not successfully, I don't think. They kind of like, I mean, they can only do so much with like crazy. It's really hard to interpret the Batman universe like into something that isn't somehow ridiculous, or it's just like this is too silly now.
Are you
Everybody's
familiar
just
with
insane.
Are you familiar with the Court of Owls?
That's what they might be doing with the next Batman Reeves movie.
I think that'd be really cool. There's a neat moment.
They did that in Gotham too, didn't they?
I think so. I didn't watch much of Gotham, but there's a neat moment in the comic story with the Court of Owls where they're like the secret society that's controlled Gotham for these like all these rich sadists. They're the most terrible people, but they have like this army of servants of like these warriors and like these like they look like ninjas with like an owl mask on their head. They're creepy looking. They're called the Talons, and they like they know that Bruce Wayne is Batman, so they just send like all of their talons to like Wayne Manor. I remember like the cover of this comic from 2012, and it was like Bruce Wayne in like his like house, like his bathrobe, standing on
Mm.
top of Wayne Manor, like fighting like 30 of these dudes. And it's like, oh, just looked crazy. But yeah, like I think that'd be like such like a unique Batman battle. Like, what if he's just like at home in like Wayne Manor, and he just gets like ambushed at home, and he doesn't have his gear. He's just got to like work with whatever he's got in the room with him. I think that'd be like really neat to do as like the third act action sequence of a Batman movie.
It's kind of like how the League of Shadows showed up at Wayne Manor and fucked shit up
Yeah, if
in
you just like
Batman Begins.
extended that and did like more with that, like actual like combat there.
It's interesting because I like the Batman. I like Robert Pattinson and Andy Serkis. Uh, it's just so much. It is confusing for like the average person because they have three separate continuities within the DC universe. Well, not within the DC
Within the
universe, but
DC
within
multiverse.
multiverse. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it will be good. James Gunn is great. I mean, he was successful with Peacemaker. The one thing I
Yeah.
didn't like that he did in recent years was Guardians 2, but that's it.
I actually really like that one. But I get why some people had issues with it. The first Guardians had a very tight story, and the second one it was more interested with focusing on the characters and not so much focusing on narrative. Um, yeah, it had like I like Gunn's sense of humor. I like it. Everything he does has like a lot of heart.
Yeah.
Even the Suicide Squad has tons of heart. Um, and if people, I know that some people were worried, like, could he even pull off something like Superman? Isn't he more like an anti-hero type guy? But it's like he has a wide range. Like he just wrote this Wile E. Coyote movie that's currently in production.
It's a Wile E. Coyote movie.
Yeah, it's like a legal drama. It's like the Coyote sues Acme for all the shitty products that they've sold him over the years. He wrote the Scooby Doo movies.
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah.
And those movies aren't like I actually like didn't watch them until very recently, just like a couple of years ago. I didn't really pay attention to the second one and just tossed it on HBO Max. But like that first movie, like it surprised me. I assumed it was going to be terrible. I mean, like the ugly 2001 CGI Scooby Doo is unforgivable and should never be looked at. Um, but as far as like story goes, as far as like the script, it seemed like actually like a really good script. I was so I guess this isn't a spoiler because it's a 20-year-old movie, but who the villain turned out to be in that movie, I thought that was such like a cool. Somehow I like never heard that, and I thought that was like such like a
Who was the
cool
villain?
choice. It was Scrappy Doo from the cartoon. He was like an asshole, and
Oh,
he was like his like revenge
the mini
scheme.
Scooby guy.
Yeah, yeah, fucking
He
little
was the
Scrappy
villain in
Doo.
the first
Yes,
Scooby Doo.
yes,
Like he's a little CG dog too,
yes,
and he was the mastermind.
yeah.
That sounds stupid.
No, it worked for me. It
I know
worked.
it's
It felt
Scooby. I know it's Scooby Doo, but Zoinks. That's what I
so.
say.
Bravo, James Gunn. I appreciated that.
Well, I invited Starfleet Boy and Ruben here. I would have invited Braxton and Marcelo, but they're busy. But they didn't show up.
Well,
Did you watch Glass Onion, right?
I did. I saw
Let's
it a
let's talk
month
about that.
ago in the theater.
Oh well,
I made a meme about it. Let me see if I
I
can show that to you.
I do like the first one. The second one not so much. Although anytime Daniel Craig and Janelle Monáe, is that her name? They're great when they're together, and the celebrity food products were funny. I won't give too much away. It's like some Jeremy Renner hot sauce and Jared Leto kombucha, like those stupid, like those. I didn't know if they were real products or not, so I was like, I guess this is a joke. That's interesting. The mystery itself is just like it comes together at the end. It has a strong finish. Won't give anything away, but yeah, it's a lot of glass happening. A lot of glass things. Guess what? Guess why? I guess that's why they call it Glass Onion. But I was expecting something
That was
as
a Beatles song, right?
Edward Norton. Man, he's aged. He doesn't
I
look the
thought
same.
that too. I was like, this dude's getting kind of old looking. But then I was like, guy's got to be like damn near 60 at this point,
He's
right?
getting up there.
Yeah. You're old when like I don't know, it just seems like everyone who was like already grown when I was a teenager, they just look like fucking older than dog shit now.
Yeah. I didn't like any of the characters, like Kate Hudson's character or Dave Bautista's character and his cheating girlfriend and
Oh
all
yeah,
this.
whiskey.
And I just like these people are just not interesting.
Well, they were all kind of based on like real. Like he was supposed to be kind of like the Seth Rogen or like the PewDiePie type of like internet celebrity. I
I
said
liked it.
Seth
I did
Rogen.
like
I meant Joe Rogan. My bad.
Joe Rogan. He is. It was funny when he curses at his mother, and his mother just like leans off. She's like, "Don't curse at me,"
Yeah,
because
I
he's
like
acting
that.
so entitled. Let's see, what we got here. You waited to see Glass Onion on Netflix. I saw it in the theater a month ago because I support slightly smarter, kind of artistic popcorn flicks. We are not the same.
It's a Fatheree original.
Oh, you made that, okay.
Yeah,
So you liked it.
I did. I did.
You didn't find the mystery lacking in interest of any kind.
I actually thought the mystery, like it wasn't as shocking or surprising. It was a little bit kind of what you'd expect, or at least what I expected. But the twist that I liked was the reveal about the whole like twin sister situation, and that wasn't actually her and all of that. And I thought they played really fair. Like they show you clues along the way. They didn't do anything too. I did kind of have a debate with myself. Like, was this cheating when they show you like inaccurate flashbacks? But uh,
Yeah.
but I was like, no, I don't think it is, because if they showed it if they showed it clear the first time and then it's up to your memory, I think then because I'm sure some people watched it and they clearly remembered who. Well, I don't know if I should get into spoilers here.
Well, let's just say I want to see Daniel Craig's character do more of that explain. Like when he gets to a point in these movies when he's explaining everything, on top of realizing new stuff, and he's like, "Oh my word, I didn't think of this before." And he's like, "You got the idea from me." And it's like I love all that stuff when he's figuring stuff out. But it's
Oh,
I'd like to see his character. They will do more. I'd like to see his
yeah,
character
he's so good,
in
so good.
in a slightly more interesting story.
Very,
I
very
mean,
watchable though. Like his I know people love his James Bond, but I've always kind of struggled with his miserable Bond, just this tortured soul. Like I kind of prefer like the Sean Connery and the Roger Moore type of like we enjoy it type approach. But
the Bond where he's like slapping the girl on the ass. Run along now, sweetie. Men are talking like that,
well,
like from Goldfinger.
that certainly shouldn't be put in a
No,
movie in 2022. But
unless it's a period piece, they have to be accurate to the times.
I definitely thought that was more fun to watch than the Daniel Craig. But I love him as what's this detective's name? The Blanc or whatever.
Yeah, some French thing. Yeah,
Yeah, some dumb French name.
LeBlanc, Matt LeBlanc from Friends.
But I just like how eccentric he is, and kind of when you see like those moments of like excitement and exuberance, it is exciting to watch. It's like sometimes like mystery stuff can be kind of boring.
I give it that the script is quirky. Like it's a fun, like there's a fun vibe to it. Like there's one part where he's like, "Oh shit balls," and then Janelle Monáe after when she's like, I won't say what she's doing, but she's coughing and she's like, "Ah shit balls." I'm like little things like that. I mean,
Yeah,
when two of them are on screen together, that's when it's like, yeah, you're
calling
trying to
people
figure stuff
shithead.
out. But yeah, I expected. I don't know what I was expecting something more, but
It was kind of a spoof on Elon Musk among
yes, that's
other
yes,
people.
exactly. Like some
But it's
rich
like, oh
white
yeah, this
douchebag.
rich guy is actually just like kind of a big moron, isn't he?
Yes, that's the great thing of it. It's like you're just riding on the coattails of people who are smarter than you. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It was, and that has been the review of Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery.
There's one thing that I do kind of like about both those movies that I think is a little unique and should be pointed out, though, is that in both those cases it's not Daniel Craig's story. There's another like central. You have like the nurse in the first movie, and then you have the twin sister in this movie, and Daniel, like how like Daniel Craig says like I'm not Batman. I can't go in there and arrest him for like he doesn't he is not the hero of the story. He's not the one who does like the big victory lap at the end. Like the actual like character whose story, whose struggle, like all of that stuff is relevant to in both instances. They actually are the ones that kind of get like the big victory moment in the end. And yeah,
Yeah.
he's just the guy there to piece the clues together.
He's the
Eh,
star of the movie who is somehow the supporting character of both.
right.
Yeah.
And I like that. I think I give Ryan Johnson credit for that. I think that was very neat and clever.
I will watch the next one if there is. I'm like I didn't hate it, you know what I mean? It's just like
Mm.
come on, give me something a little more exciting than some. It's almost you know, it was almost so cliche to the point where I was like, this is a lot like Clue. And then they mention Clue in the movie. It's like I can't complain now because you acknowledge it.
Yeah, I like that he hated Clue. That because you would think like, oh, he probably like plays Clue and that's probably his favorite movie. But he's actually like, no, I hate Clue.
The whole thing with the lights going out and something happening and then the lights turning back. I've seen that.
Mm.
It's been done to death.
You basically took a loaded gun and set it in the room with the lights off, and he's like, he actually does it, and he's like, "Oh my god, you even stole that idea!"
Yeah, that's everything leading up to that was okay, but yeah, the end it worked in the end. I just want to mention a couple of shows that ended this year, and I want to know if you watched any of them. Atlanta
No,
with Donald Glover, The Walking Dead,
which one?
the main one.
I stopped watching when they went into Herschel's barn in season 2.
Oh well, that was a while back.
Yeah, that's back when like Barack Obama was in his first term. It's been a hot minute since then.
Blackish
Never seen it.
is the sitcom. It was okay. It was interesting enough that I watched it all the way through. It had two spin-offs, Grownish and Mixedish. Mixedish didn't last, but Grownish is a successful series that I haven't seen. Better Call Saul ended.
I've seen the first 2 or 3 episodes. I saw like an episode where they find like the married couple in the tent with like a briefcase full of money.
Oh yeah.
Um,
The first season's good, but it's the least interesting season of them all.
I've always wanted to go back to it. I watched that in Sweden in 2015 because it was available on Swedish Netflix, but not on US Netflix yet. And I never went back to watch more.
Did you watch Raised by Wolves?
Never seen it.
Yeah,
I want to check that out too. I like sci-fi stuff, but
they
haven't
canceled
done it.
it prematurely. It's a fairly brutal kind of show. Like there's some brutal violence. In
Our
it. It's
friend
from Ridley
Robbie,
Scott.
the Earl Grey Trekkie, he I remember he was very disappointed that they canceled it.
They also canceled. They pulled the plug on Westworld
Yeah, that
to
was
the
a big
point where
show.
to the point where they're even pulling it from HBO Max, so they don't have to pay royalties or something like that.
David Zaslav, he's a fucking Scrooge. He's a tightwad.
Well, they're not making Marvel money, I guess.
You know, they surely ain't because you don't see Disney Plus do it. Disney Plus pulled Tron Legacy and then they put it back.
Did you like any of the Marvel TV this year, like Moon Knight? What were the other ones? Moon Knight,
She-Hulk, Ms. Marvel.
Ms. Marvel.
The only ones I watched was This is gonna make me sound so terrible. I only saw like the first 2 episodes of Moon Knight. Always meant to go back and watch more, just haven't. I did watch the Werewolf by Night special. Didn't love it. I watched the Guardian special. I did love that one.
I love the it's pretty good. It is exactly what a TV special should be, but it has like a good budget, I guess.
Mm.
It's not too big. It's not like cinematic quality. It's just really good for TV. It's like that high level. It's like a high level TV movie quality kind of thing, or streaming quality. What was the other one? Ms. Marvel was okay. None of these Marvel shows have had their Andor yet. You know what I mean? And same thing with, I feel the same way about Modern Trek. There is no Andor yet. Andor is like the standard now for how you respect or do a show within a franchise and have it be like, yes, it feels authentic, and the story is mature. It doesn't insult my intelligence. I actually have to think about what's going on. They introduce characters in a slow, deliberate way that would frustrate some viewers, I think. Like, why are we spending time with this dude and his mom in the apartments and stuff like that? It's like, what does that have to do with anything? I can understand, excuse me, I can understand people like getting but that everything in Andor builds the same. Everything is relevant. It's like Better Call Saul is the same way. It's like you have these shows where all of the screen time is valuable somehow. It's not just wasted kind of like filler. You have a lot of shows where like people have the same arguments over and over again. It's like, okay, move on. But the best Marvel show this year, probably Ms. Marvel, I guess. No. Actually, you know what? I'll take it back. She-Hulk. I enjoyed She-Hulk more than a lot of people did. I think like people like think it's too out there. The CG's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch any of that?
No, but I heard about the bad CG, but I know a lot of people who like really like it. Like Dave doesn't watch a ton of TV, and he watched like every episode of She-Hulk, and he really liked it. He liked Moon Knight too.
Moon Knight is okay. It gets really weird at the end. And it's not even, it doesn't feel like a full season of television, by the way. It was meant to be like a one-off, and then you're like, no, this isn't. You're clearly ending it in the middle somewhere. So how is this a one-off? And of course they are filming another season.
Yeah, and Loki has another season. Did
She-Hulk
She-Hulk get a season too?
I don't know. The first episode is the weakest. If I were to go back and watch She-Hulk again, I would just skip over that first episode. Like, even though at the time I was like, yeah, it's all right. The whole thing about trolling, people have claimed that the show trolls fans. It's not actually true. They're trolling a certain portion of people who, like, if you're a fan of Marvel and you don't care about the trolls that they're portraying as like, oh, I don't want a woman hero. Like, that's the issue. It's kind of like, did they really need to do it? But it's part of the comedy of it, so I get it. There's a point where like dude bros get together and they are the epitome of like ignorant dude bros, sexist kind of shit. I'm like, I get that real people like this exist, but it's like, a lot of these trolls out there are really just adolescent boys. Let's just fucking call a spade a spade. It really is like, and some of them aren't. Some of them are people with jobs and probably respectable lifestyles and stuff. And then their outlet is, fuck you, celebrity piece of shit, blah, 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 blah. Example, Kevin Smith. He has a show with Mark Bernardin, Fat Man on Batman.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of them.
I watch it live whenever I can. I was watching it live one time, and it's cool because Kevin looks at the comments. Sometimes he'll call out your comment, or like you're making jokes, he'll say it. He won't probably say your name or anything, but he'll acknowledge stuff, right? But my God, man, don't get on his bad side, because some douche, and it's the same fucking story, and I see it so much. It drives me literally insane whenever somebody says this. Kevin Smith got mad at some guy named Clownfish TV and didn't apologize. And he made He-Man and the Masters of the Universe bad, and he messed it up, blah, blah, blah. And that's the excuse given every time to say, you piece of shit, you should have died when you had the heart attack. People wish death upon him in the comments.
Because they didn't like his He-Man cartoon?
Mm-hmm. And it's always the same thing. It's always that He-Man, Clownfish fucking TV shit. Don't don't know the YouTuber, haven't watched the person, don't care. I mean, I have no skin in that game. But like, I'm thinking, is this the same 5 people over and over again? Because they're all saying the exact same thing. So when you had Kevin on Twitter like acknowledge, he his goal was, I want to find out who this guy is and troll him type of thing. Like he gets really sensitive, you know? He gets upset.
Yeah, yeah,
He
sure.
can't let it roll off his back like a lot of these other people. And he spent a lot of time talking about how it hurt his feelings and like, how about this fucker? I look him up and blah blah blah. Anyway, he did. The guy's some 40-year-old dude with kids or whatever, right? And in the comments section in that tweet that he put out, somebody, yeah, you shouldn't wish death upon people. But, you know, Kevin didn't apologize to Clownfish TV and he fucked up He-Man. I'm like,
Where does he have to apologize?
oh my
for?
God,
Like,
I don't know, because this like, I barely remember. I don't really know exactly, but this YouTuber had a scoop on the whole idea that He-Man was subverted or he was removed from the show somehow. Which actually turned out to be true. He-Man is not in that first season very much.
Yeah, I've seen the first episode, so I saw what happened when he went bye-bye.
However, in subsequent episodes, he does show up time to time in flashbacks, and he does show up in the second half. So what happened was Netflix released the first half of a whole season. It wasn't a complete season. And this whole thing that people were speculating about is that He-Man would be sidelined. It would be a Teela-centric story. Turned out to be true, and apparently, I don't know the exact details. Kevin Smith said to this clownfish, oh, you're wrong. It's a He-Man... Kevin Smith was adamant that it's a He-Man story. A half-truth. Wasn't completely true. Wasn't completely a lie. I liked it. I have no... You know what? I loved the old He-Man cartoon growing up. I have the power, He-Man.
And the
Masters of the universe. Loved it. I remember like 5 years ago or whatever, when it showed up on Netflix, you know, remastered.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't watch this. I can't. I can go back and watch.
Have you seen the Christmas episode?
No, I can't remember. I know what you're talking about. I can barely remember. I can even go back and watch the Dolph Lundgren Masters of the Universe and have a better time with that than I do So this whole thing about like
Robert Duncan McNeil.
Yeah, I'm not
Star Trek
bagging.
connection.
I'm not bagging on anybody who likes the original cartoon, because I did as a kid. I had the cat guy. What's his name? I had the toy of him and He-Man, and he would sit on the thing. I had those toys.
Battle Cat.
The Battle Cat. And I love the Battle Cat because you can move his mouth. You can make him go roar type of thing, right? So I loved that. He wasn't articulating the arms though. You couldn't move his arms.
Yeah, I had that toy. I think I had that same one.
But who are the presumably grown ass? Let's just call a spade, men. Because I've never seen in my life women do certain things, and I'm not trying to be like, men and women are different, and there are differences that are apparent. And one thing is, I've never seen a woman troll or complain about things that men do, like entertainment. Like maybe I had one girl used to the only thing on TV or movie, or not movies, but on TV she would bitch about was like stuff in reality TV shows. And anything else was like, oh, that's fake and cool. I liked it and I didn't like it. Like, no sweat off my back. And I'd be like, that's full of bad special effects. I can't wait. You know, I was very much like a film snob when I was younger. And looking back, I used to complain about stupid shit. I used to like condemn a movie because the VFX weren't up to par for the time. I'm like, it's not as good as this other movie that came out this year, so I guess it's not good. I was kind of like that. I was like, bit of my friends used to call me out on it all the time. I remember this one Danny Trejo movie we all watched. It's like a straight to video thing. It's like, I can't remember. It's some western, and I kept saying they can't keep the camera still. All the shots are just. It's all tracking. It's like
Mm.
Star Trek Discovery season 1. It's just like the camera is never still. It's always moving. I said I can't watch this movie. It's driving me. It's like you're a fucking snob. It's a good movie. It's like violence and sex and all the stuff you need in a straight to Netflix kind of thing back in the day. When Netflix had like the really cheap movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yeah, I don't even know what I was talking about. I went off on a rant about something. How did I get here?
I don't know. Where did we start?
Where do we start?
Um, we were talking about She-Hulk, and
Oh
then
yeah,
men are
She-Hulk.
different than women, and then Kevin Smith.
But that's what I'm saying. Like the whole thing about I'm like you don't. For example, women don't go around whistling. You ever notice that? Have you ever seen
Hmm.
a woman? Men do it all the time. They're in the store. They're in the soup. Do, and like they're working. You don't see women. I'm not saying women can't whistle. I'm just saying
What
you
about in
don't.
Kill Bill, the
Can't,
nurse?
there you go. That's a good example of a whistling woman.
You know what my
It's
grandma used to tell me though when she was a little kid is that like if she would whistle, she got in trouble, and that like her
because it
grandma
was
would
rude, considered rude.
it was considered like bad luck. Like her grandma
Oh,
would tell her, a whistling girl and a crowing hen always come to some bad end. Yeah, they had chickens too. And like every now and then, there's like a hen that will crow like a rooster, and that was considered bad luck. So anytime they had like a chicken, a hen that would crow, they'd cut her head off and make chicken and dumplings out of her.
and I'm also not saying that there aren't women trolls. They're called Karens. It's just they focus their negative
Yeah,
energy
they
on like external things in the
they
real
they
world.
troll retail workers instead of Hollywood executives.
So yeah, I'm so men and women are the same in that capacity. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like they all have the ability. We all have the ability to be complete assholes, but for whatever reason, and I just speaking from experience and the friends around me at the time growing up, when the internet was kind of new and you could chat and stuff and talk to people, it was some like obnoxious, trolly shit that people would get on with. And it's because the anonymity of the internet. Like,
Hmm. I did some weird shit on Xbox Live back like when Halo 2 came out, like 2004. I'm glad that's not recorded.
oh god,
Um, I uh, here's something funny ab- about this dude where I work. He was in a Zoom call, this meeting, and I guess didn't realize that he was not muted, and he was very clearly playing Call of Duty.
oh, so he probably
And
said a word over and over again.
yeah, he made a certain. He actually made a homophobic slur that begins with a F and ends with a T, and
Followed by another word.
that's it's I guess actually like considered hate speech, and rightfully so like people probably shouldn't say that, but yeah, like so I don't think he has a job anymore.
My the first time I ever saw a friend play online, like with the headphones and like with other
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
when it was relatively new, he never said anything. He heard a lot of racist, homophobic stuff,
Yeah, I didn't say
but
that shit like that, but I did say some fucked up shit.
his language was always motherfucker, cocksucker. Like his, like you piece of shit. Like he would degrade whoever he was talking to, but like I would be like, I remember saying like, "Hey man, that's kind of harsh," and he's like, "Oh no, I'm the nice one." It's like I'm the nice guy. I'm the guy. I'm like a pretty little flower in their pile of shit, like of just pure fucking hate speech. On
Yeah.
It's like
No,
it's
my
crazy.
thing is I would always like talk shit to people just to like be as obnoxious as possible. So that was I was pretty good at it, believe it or not.
Yeah.
That was well, I had like a lot of friends that we'd like team up. We'd play like a lot of like a 4v4 type stuff on Halo 2.
And you gang up
So
on the newbies and keep killing them over and over
yeah,
again.
and just like talk shit.
This year we also got Strange New Worlds, the premiere, and the Orville. Both were okay. I'm kind of worn out on all that now. To be totally honest, my enthusiasm for live action Trek is like, it's okay, I guess. I don't rewatch Discovery like I used to. I even when I didn't like Picard, I even watched that like over again to see. I can't go back. What happened was Amazon Prime, not Amazon Prime, Paramount Plus Canada finally has Discovery, but the first 3 seasons and the first season of Picard. And the advantage there is that the picture quality on Paramount Plus is far superior to Crave. The only time you will get a clear, like really good looking movie on Crave, if it's technically in 4K, but really it's just like good HD when it's on Crave. And to be honest, like 4K never looks true 4K anyway, but it just looks like really good HD. But now you have Paramount Plus, like Top Gun Maverick is like HDR, and the new Fletch movie is HDR. Everything else, most of what's on there is HD, but it's like Picard and Discovery looks so much better. But I tried to rewatch both. I'm like, nah, I'm good. But Prodigy is impressive though.
I've really enjoyed Prodigy.
This first 20 episode season, which has spanned a whole year, has better serialized storytelling mixed with the episodic thing. It does it, in my opinion, better than Strange New Worlds, although Strange New Worlds has good and bad episodes, in my opinion. I liked slightly more than I didn't. I'm enthusiastic for season 2, but I don't know. Like, this whole animated crossover thing, I'm excited for, but it gives me pause. Like, I don't know if they're just going to jump the shark and say, like, oh, well, people like the first season. Let's just do whatever now. I don't want that. And this reliance on legacy characters. Like, hey, Discovery, we got Spock's foster adopted sister here. But don't worry, we're not going to rely on Pike and Spock and all that stuff. They're going to be mentioned, but we're not going to rely on that. Season 2, Pike and Spock. Strange New Worlds. We're going to do our own. We're going to be like, it's familiar, but it's like, hey, let's bring in Kirk. Wait a second, they didn't meet. Who cares? It's like, just stand on your own 2 feet. You don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. Like, this is why every show they greenlit from now on. This is why I hope Picard season 3 is successful and it breaks barriers.
Well, there's
gonna be people out there who
legacy.
don't even know it exists. The Picard show exists. Like, I've talked to people who are, hey, you like TNG? Yeah, I like TNG. Yeah, Worf, and they know the characters' names. Like, there's a Picard series, right? In the third season, there's a Picard series. I told this one guy who loves DS9. He knew about Picard. He didn't know about the reunion in season 3. And he's like, wow, they're bringing back the T. He's like, aren't those guys in their 80s? I'm like, well, 70s, but still. I said, it looks good. And he's like, oh, I guess I'll watch Picard now. But I'm thinking, like, this guy's going to go back to season 1 of Picard and be like, what's this? Turn it off.
So are you saying that Strange New Worlds needs less reliance on legacy characters, but Picard needs more, to be good, needs more reliance on legacy characters?
Exactly. Because I can see what they were trying to do on their own, like with that first season, having like new characters and surround Patrick Stewart, but it didn't work. 7 of 9. I couldn't believe I was going to see a show with 7 of 9 as the main character. Couldn't believe it, and it's like not a very good show she's in. Now this time around, to see 7 of 9 with Worf and like see the mix of Voyager and possibly DS9. Well, actually DS9 characters as well. In one season of a modern Trek show set in what I call real Star Trek time, meaning the time parallel to ours, like 2020. What is it? The year 2501 or something would be like around our time now. Essentially, the legacy actors could still, from any of those shows, could still show up. Kate Mulgrew, Nana Visitor, whatever. If Picard, this is why I'm hoping it's successful, because if it is, and it becomes like the best live action Trek there is, uh, common sense dictates, well, what's the next one should be a spin off of this show or timeline. And I think it's going to be a 7. I'm assuming the captain gets killed. The captain of Titan gets killed somehow. Because he is a white man. And, I'm joking. It's like, we can't have too many white men. I'm joking. I'm very, I'm trying to be funny. But he's a white guy. And I'm not joking. My first thought was, oh, they're probably going to kill this guy. And he's probably going to be a douchebag, too. He's probably going to mansplain. But, like, ladies, this is how it's done. 20th century sexism. No, they wouldn't have a captain. Even the guy who died in season 2 of Discovery. The mansplainer.
You're talking about Connolly?
The mansplainer.
Yeah.
I'm like, they set that up just to, not to kill a white guy or anything. They just set it up to kill a douchebag, or to have a guy die and you not feel bad about it because he was a douchebag. I'm like,
yeah, but I mean,
how did this guy make it this far into Starfleet being the way he is? Because you don't see any of that behavior. You barely see that behavior in any previous Trek. And the idea of, and they did this in 2009 where they had the dude, the red shirt dude die, and it's like played as a joke.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't think we should be laughing at death so easily in Star Trek, but whatever. It's like 7 of 9 when she kills the Romulan chick. She's like, this is for Hugh, and like they clearly put it in post so it doesn't look as cold-blooded to remind the audience, like, remember, this is revenge, so it's okay. It's like, no, it's just it's casual. It's action movie shit. It's like in Lethal Weapon when people just die. And, like,
Star Trek cares. Insurrection.
Yeah.
This one that always bugged me was when Picard leaves Ruafu to die on that station thing.
Oh, yeah. I don't believe I hear this stuff about like new Trek is woke, and I get sick of hearing about woke because it means nothing now. It's same thing with social justice warrior. It's a once noble term that was co-opted to be the anti of whatever it was.
It's just dumb culture war bullshit. But most people don't really care about that. I think people get too wrapped up with like some internet discourse sometimes. Like one of the things about I think a lot of people don't realize about like Picard season 3, what you were just saying, like people don't know about Picard or don't know about like Picard season 3. That's absolutely true. Like, there's a lot of excitement and enthusiasm for Picard season 3 on like Star Trek Twitter. But in like real world, like, and you got to keep in mind, like the majority of the people who watch these shows, they don't go and like talk about it online. This is like, oh yeah, like on Sunday nights, they like to watch the new Star Trek show with their spouse or some shit like that. So the vast majority of the people that will watch Star Trek Picard, they have no idea that Gates McFadden and Michael Dorn and all these people are like coming back for season 3. It's really an interesting question of like how popular will this be when it actually does premiere. And I'm kind of worried that the people who are talking about it online, I think that they're overhyping. They're gonna overhype it, and they're gonna end up being disappointed. So I'm telling people, like, if there were things that you like in seasons 1 and 2 of Picard, like PJ, like I know like you don't like those seasons, but I know you like certain moments. Like when like, didn't you tell me like when Q like hugs Picard, like you kind of like that?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like that little stuff like that you do like. I think a reasonable expectation is like expect Picard season 3 to be like that type stuff, like that level of stuff. But like don't go into it thinking like this is going to be like the best Star Trek show of the last 30 years or like anything like that, because you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
Well, we know from the internet or experts on the internet that simply don't be woke and you won't go broke, which is so stupid. It's like, okay, Lord of the Rings was the thing that they say, it's woke, so it's going to fail. It's like, no, it failed because it's poorly written and executed. It really has nothing to do with people
the TV
inject
show?
politics. Yeah, people inject and maybe the creators are injecting the politics. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Is the show good or not? Is what matters. And it seems like that's the scapegoat. It's like, oh, it sucks because. And I've seen kind of this thing with this dismissal of Andor from people who clearly haven't seen it. It's like I group it because it's in that category of Disney woke, quote unquote woke bullshit. So I won't give it a chance. It's like there is no political agenda. It's political. It's a political show, but it's not something where you're seeing like a creator's agenda kind of like enforced on it. I'll give you an example of a show that clearly had an agenda, like a true agenda that one could say this has an agenda on this side of the political aisle, and that was the reboot of Murphy Brown. Every chance they get, they were anti your president at the time, and made it a point to say that. That's something you can point at and say, there you go. That's a real thing that has an agenda, and it's telling you it has an agenda. It's not this whole idea that they're sneaking in a political view through I remember there was controversy over Stacey Abrams being cast as the president of Earth on Discovery because she is of a political view. And I get it because I can see if you had somebody on the other side in that show as that character, people would be like, oh, that's strange. Why is a Republican character, actor or Republican politician playing that woke role? You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's like, where's the agenda, though? It's a politician that they like. I don't know who she is.
But to be fair to her, like, she has been like a very vocal Star Trek fan for a long time. Like, she's kind of famous for like being the Star Trek fan politician.
Yeah.
So, and there's things with her politics like I disagree with, but I didn't mind her. Like, she has been like a long-term fan. It's no different than like when they stuck Stephen Hawking into TNG, in my opinion, or Tom Morello into Voyager.
You know what I think a part of it is too? People get so focused on creators and actors on the Twitter and their beliefs and views. And it's like, but I'm not of that party. The person on the internet, it's like, I'm not of that party, so that show is Democrat or something. You know what I mean? Democrat or right leaning or left leaning. And certainly a lot of it's like it happens in a lot of other countries, but your country is like, it's just so one side or the other and there is no in between. Like, you're against or for a thing, and it's like there's no room for debate. Bill Burr has an excellent stand-up special on Netflix recently where he talks about kind of being in the middle on certain issues. I won't talk about which because it's like controversial. I don't want to get in trouble. But like, he makes a lot of sense about, I get this part of it, but I also get this part of it, but you're both fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Like, you're both crazy on a particular issue, although basic human rights like respecting people's sexuality and right to love and live and respecting, pronouns and that. There's people out there, man, who have a hard time with their pronouns. Like, they think it's an offense on their like person. I gotta call somebody they. It's like, so? It's like, what's the big deal? Like Ezra Miller, I keep forgetting. And that's okay because I can correct myself.
Yeah,
but I also think somebody shouldn't chastise me for forgetting. Remember Blue in Discovery?
Mm-hmm.
Blue as a character didn't come out as a non-binary person until some episodes in.
Yeah.
So a lot of reviewers were referring to them as she, and then in the show, like the character corrected Stamets and says, I'm not he or she, right? So you should respect the new and the progressive. You don't have to like it, but you don't have to discriminate and be like, I fucking hate somebody because of their lifestyle choice that doesn't hurt or affect anyone in a negative way. It just makes that person happy. It's like that's what I don't get. Like you
Yeah,
don't have a like a thing, but if somebody's respecting you and not bothering you, why bother them? You know what I mean? Type of thing.
there's a lot of there's a lot of like push for like misinformation. Like a lot of people think there's like this like yeah, they always talk about like these agendas, but there's people are, I guess, nervous that like someone's going to turn their kids gay. Like I don't think it works that way, but people, like the whole thing about like calling people groomers and stuff, or like people like accuse transgender people of like being groomers, like it's, or like wanting to like mutilate children by like doing uh sex change surgeries on, which they don't do those surgeries on kids to begin with. That's like not a thing that happens. But there's like so much fear and like misinformation, and the reason why that gets pushed is because our shitty politicians don't want to do anything that actually help the working class. So instead, they're just like, "Hey, let's talk about like abortions and marriage equality and all this other stuff."
Yeah, it's a strange world we live in where we've come so far yet so far behind in a lot of areas of just like common sense should rule, and so often it doesn't. It's like, I first learned about, I said this before, I first learned about pronouns in the show Shameless. A character, Ethan, is dating a trans man and meets his friends and then finds out like different pronouns and stuff. I'm like, I thought it was an invention. I didn't know if it was an invention of the show or what. I'm like, oh, this is a real life thing that's finally making its way into like a TV show. It was the first time
Mm-hmm.
I ever saw it, and that was 5, 6, 7 years ago or something. It was a while back. That show has since ended, but yeah, I don't think. I think mainly the whole. I won't. I don't want to name new YouTubers. I just don't. But you will see them make these videos that get a lot of views.
Hi.
Are you high? Is that what she
No.
said? Where's Starfleet Boy and Ruben? They didn't show up.
I don't know where they are.
Why didn't they show up? They're not my friends anymore or something? Maybe because I don't follow anybody on Twitter. They
Maybe
hate me.
maybe they're high.
Maybe they're high or drunk. Maybe they're watching. Somebody comment. Whoever's watching, comment, will you? Let us know who you are. It's a mystery.
How many people are watching?
2, which is a
Oh.
record.
Well, hi, two people.
What other stuff did we have this year? We had For All Mankind, a new season of The Boys. The Bob's Burgers movie. Did you see that?
I didn't. I know that
Uh,
Sam Cedar was in it, but he plays the food inspector character, Hugo, right?
hmm. Yeah. Lightyear. That was a movie.
I thought that was okay.
Beavis and Butthead new season plus a new movie.
I
Beavis and
watched
Butthead
the
do the
movie.
universe.
Yeah, you told me to watch the movie, and I did. I liked it.
And you didn't see these seasons of the show,
I
or
didn't.
the last season?
No, I wanted to watch it. I still need to watch those damn South Park movies. Those new ones.
They're not really movies though. They're just longer episodes. They bill them as movies, and then they have 2 parts to them. Like there's the pandemic one. There's 2 parts. Actually, there's 4 pandemic ones, but there's the pre-pandemic and the post-pandemic, and they're broken up into 2 parts. The 2 parts could be a movie if you combine them. But the same thing with the streaming wars, which by the way was a little weak. It was fun, but that also had 2 parts. Yeah. Oh my goodness, Geek Filter's here. Hey man, how's it going?
What's up? We were just talking some Star Trek Prodigy over on the Text Trek show earlier.
House of the Dragon. That's a.
Oh yeah, I watched that. It was okay.
Did you like? Did you watch Lord of the Rings? Rings of Power.
I didn't. I did not do the Lord of the Rings show. I know that I heard good stuff about it.
I heard things.
But you said it ended up not being good.
You know, good effort, a lot of money. You can see the money there, but it's like Galadriel, insufferable. That was the one word that kept coming up. I'm like, I just have to agree at this point. And it was a lot of people complaining about the show and about her in particular, or people I don't particularly like or agree with a lot. I'm like, you're kind of dead on here, even though you're fucking wrong as hell about Andor. And the show in general just moves so slow.
Hmm.
It was like seeing just money poured into like monotony. It's just like I suppose they utilize the sets. They spent too much time in Numenor, and it took so long to get out of Numenor. And then I forget if it's episode 6. I think there are 8 episodes, but one of the later episodes, when the battle happens, I was like, yes, finally the show's got a good episode happening. What did they do? They followed up with 2 slow ass episodes. They had a decent finale, but like most of those episodes in that first season weren't very good. House of the Dragon is amazing. And hold on one second.
One
Excuse me, I
thousand.
had to cough. Uh, it consists mostly of people talking in rooms with some dragon action, a little bit of violence here and there,
Yeah, it's very
but
much
it's
the same.
intriguing.
It's kind of the same formula as as Game of Thrones. Almost to the point to where like it didn't feel, I guess, original or fresh enough. But I thought it was. What really surprised me was that when they started doing like those time jumps, because I'm familiar with like the events that the war that takes place that kind of like the season was building to, and
Yeah,
I was worried they would draw it out too long because I was like, it's really like not that much story. Like they're not going to be able to milk 8 seasons out of this like they did Game of Thrones. But yeah, the fact that like they're just moving along and like getting to the big stuff so quickly, and so much happened in the first season that I wasn't expecting. It really kept me intrigued, and I'm looking forward to more in season, especially with how the season ended and what will happen next is very exciting.
I yeah, I do love the fact that it's like the highlights of this family's life.
Mm-hmm.
You're just seeing like the big stuff, and some have complained like, well, there's a whole bunch of stuff we don't see in between these years or months or whatever. Different times pass between different episodes. I'm like, the beauty of it is kind of filling in that in yourself, and it's so well written and the story is so good that you don't have a hard time filling in the blanks. You kind of get where they've been for the past however many years. The recasting got jarring. Like I got to a point where I'm like, I don't want to invest too much in whatever actor because I think they're going to be replaced soon. But the cast by the end of the first season, I was pretty cool with. Um,
Yeah, it almost kind of feels like you're watching like a docudrama based on like real people or like a real how like if you're watching the life story of some real life fictional character or real life character, it's not going to show every season's going to be like a year of their life. It's probably just gonna we're just gonna do the highlights, the important stuff, and nothing else.
let's talk about the Marvel Universe movies. There was only 2, right? It was Doctor Strange and no, it was 3.
Black Black Panther,
Doctor Strange, Thor,
Thor.
and Black Panther.
Yeah, I don't know if I can talk about the Thor one because that movie I had a very positive experience with that for like a lot of like deeply personal stuff. But yeah, this is gonna sound weird, but like Thor: Love and Thunder, I know a lot of people didn't like it. That's possibly my favorite MCU movie, or at least like solo character, like with just like one hero, not in like the Avengers stuff. But I really loved that one.
Yeah, I liked parts of it. I like some of the. I like Taika Waititi's comedy
I
stylings.
do too.
I just, I just got to a point where I'm like, I can't take any of this seriously because we have like an animated dumpling, see, as a character, like a dumpling god. I'm like, I get it. We're in a ridiculous universe, and it just keeps getting more ridiculous. But it's like you know what? It's not the same, but you know Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever versus Batman and Robin.
Hmm.
I almost I dislike Batman Forever a little bit more because it's it's in between that Tim Burton and campy, truly Joel Schumacher vision of what Batman is. And
Hmm.
it's like it doesn't quite know what it wants to be, and it feels awkward as a movie. And the only reason I like Batman and Robin slightly more is because it just goes for it. You know what I mean?
It really does. I
It's kind of
actually
the
respect
it's.
it a lot more these days.
I find it's the opposite effect though with Thor Ragnarok and Love and Thunder, where the balance between like the grimness of losing Asgard and like some of the dark stuff that happens in that movie mixed with the comedy was like a good balance. And then he fully goes like to the comedy, like when all the little kids get the powers and stuff. And
I
like,
loved that though. I
it's
cried when
fun.
he
It's
shared
fun, but
this
it's
power
ridiculous.
with them.
Yeah, it's
And then it's like
it's cute.
Slash playing that
Mm.
badass solo from my favorite GNR song.
Yeah, I did like the Guns N' Roses kind of incorporation into that. Yeah, it was good. You gotta. I guess you're gonna have to take off soon, eh?
Yeah, but I mean, like we can keep going through the year if we want
Did you
to.
see
But
Cobra Kai?
I have not watched the new season, but I've seen everything up until this latest season. I want. There's one more after this, right?
Yes. And then they're rebooting it as a movie universe. Like, that has
Okay.
nothing. Apparently, will have nothing to do with the Netflix series, which kind of doesn't make any sense. But I guess you can only milk this Cobra Kai, I think, for all it's worth.
Yeah, they're only gonna
Because
stay
let's
kids
face
for
it,
so long.
when you've exhausted milking all three Karate Kid movies, what's left is the next Karate Kid, bring Hilary Swank back, and then what else do you have? Nothing. Like, there's not much.
I keep waiting for her to show up on the show, but it hasn't happened yet. At least not in anything I've seen.
Yeah, we already got back Elizabeth Shue, I think was it? Yeah. Um, you never saw Clerks 3, did you?
No,
Oh.
I will when it is streaming somewhere where I don't have to pay money for it. I've been so busy these last couple of months, and I
So
did
I'm
not get the
assuming
opportunity to see it in the theater.
I'm assuming you've watched Downton Abbey: A New Era
I've never
with
watched
Maggie
anything
Smith.
Downton Abbey.
Okay.
I don't even know what Downton Abbey: A New Era is.
Well, let's just say it's quaint.
Okay,
All right.
I believe you. I'll take your word for it.
There was a great show with Steve Carell and Donald Gleason. I think that I always pronounce his name weird.
The
Yeah,
dude from Star Wars.
yeah, that guy. Where he's a serial killer and Steve Carell is a psychiatrist, and he kidnaps the psychiatrist and locks him up to basically try to get rehabilitated, because he knows if he goes to an actual, if he goes to an office and says I kill people, I'm a serial killer, that they're going to call the police or whatever. So he resorts to kidnapping him, and it is an interesting show, and it's crazy. It's just like, I won't say what happens, but it's slightly unpredictable. It's not as cut and dry as you might think. Welcome to Wrexham was a good show. It's a documentary series about Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds buying a Wrexham football team. Have you ever heard of that one?
No, but speaking of football teams, I was there any new Ted Lasso this year, or was that last year? I
It was
guess.
last year. The
Okay.
third and final season is coming out next year.
Okay, I didn't know it was gonna end.
Yeah, third and final
Hmm.
season. I suppose they don't want to. They don't want to overdo it, or
Yeah,
they want to quit on a high note.
that does kind of excite me a little bit because it's like, oh yeah, they're not gonna stretch it out too long and lose their mojo.
Um, you don't watch The Handmaid's Tale, do you? I think you do.
I
You
have
said
not seen the most recent season. I actually I still need to watch the last two episodes of season. Was it 3? What are they on now? 4, 5? The
uh
latest one was 4, right?
yeah, 4, yeah.
Okay.
They're
Yes.
they're ending with season 5, yeah.
Okay.
And they're wrapping it up, and so it's like it's one of these shows, especially in the latest season, where you're like, I think this should happen, and they do it, and then like it gets undone. You're like, oh, I hope they revisit that. Then by the end, they're like, they do, and you're like, oh fuck, I should have saw that coming because I wanted that to happen. Let's just say it gets into a realm where it's mostly in Canada. It gets to a point where it's like almost all in Canada, and people are teaming up that you wouldn't think, and it's very exciting. It's dark. It's dark as hell. Like it's not a pleasant show at all. It is fucking hard to watch at times, but it's worth it. You never watched Chucky or anything like that, have you?
No, I haven't seen the Chucky show, but I know it's good. Braxton is a huge fan of it. He talks about it all the time.
We lost David Warner, Nichelle Nichols, the Queen. Oh my God,
Was
Ray
David Warner
Liotta,
really this year? That seems so
Kirstie
long
Alley.
ago. Oh, one of Mud's women died just recently. The one in the green dress. What the hell was? I can't think of the actor's name, but she just started like doing like conventions and stuff. Like she went to STLV not this year but last year, and she canceled on this year. But yeah, she just died like a few days ago. I
Hmm.
can't think of her name, but let me see if I can look it up very quickly. Yeah, Nichelle was obviously a huge loss.
Yeah, it's
Maggie Threat, that was her name.
the Shuttle Pod podcast with Connor Trenier and Dominic Keating
Mm-hmm.
is great. And just recently, I think the most recent one they had. No, the second last one they had. One of the most recent ones they had Walter Koenig. That's how you say his last name, right? Koenig.
Yeah, that's how you say it.
And he was great. And they had Sarah Clofton on the last one. He's talking about they get into a whole thing about Avery Brooks and like what's he doing now, and oh he's a character, and like as a meaning a character in real life, he's a unique kind of like person, and he's like yeah we still talk. Uh,
Yeah,
he's still out there. It's like but
he's just done with the public scene.
yeah.
I know, like, people, I guess, speculated that he was, like, in bad health. I know he had, like, a DWI or something, so I guess people thought he might be, like, an alcoholic or a drug addict or something, and, like, but, is he, like, about to die or something? Did he have, like, some really bad health or something? But all the people who say they talk to him, they're all like, "No, none of that is true. He's fine. He just feels like he's done with doing the conventions and stuff. He doesn't need to do it anymore. He doesn't want to do it. So he's done with the public life. He's done with the acting. Although I think Sirach Lofton has said that like he thinks he would actually be open to it if people called him, but like no one wants to work with him or no one wants to call him. So I don't know what's going on there.
The last time he was on camera that I saw was in The Captains, the documentary, the William Shatner documentary, where he just goes around and he talks to each captain of each show.
Yeah,
And when he talks to Avery Brooks, it
very
really stood
memorable.
out. Like he's just like so silly and kind of like I didn't wasn't thinking like dementia or anything, but I'm like, oh, like his old like his age is starting to show, and like he and I really do mean it had nothing to do with like the mind going or anything, but where a person gets a certain age and they're kind of like don't give a fuck and they're just like silly, and he's kind of like joking around with them the whole time, and And you know this man can be serious and like do it, but like he seems happy. Like the last time we see him on camera, he just seems like the happiest fucking dude. So I don't understand this idea of why they don't want to work with him. I'm sure Alex Kurtzman has talked to him or tried to. Been like, hey, where are you open? We want to revisit DS9. We want to give fans more DS9 or something in a new show that includes DS9. But I think straight up bringing back a show set on DS9, which is an exact recreation
Mm-hmm.
of what was there before, but expand it. Maybe not physically, maybe with a volume or something, so you can like see more area in the actual. I don't know.
See the wormhole open outside. But yeah, I would love if they would. I just want that set to exist somewhere. If I say
So,
this all the time, but like if I could leave right now and like go travel anywhere in space and time, I would want to like go back in time to when the Promenade set stood at Paramount, and I would just go walk around. I just want to go to that station, go to that set, go sit in Quark's bar and have a drink with Morn. I mean, I guess the characters wouldn't actually exist in real life. But I could go there where like the actors are in costume. It would be kind of like the same thing, right?
yeah. Well, at least we got to see DS9 on Lower Decks this year. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was great. I loved that.
It's it, that episode was good. The B plot wasn't so great, but
The pirate stuff, the
no,
Orion
no, no,
stuff.
the Mariner candle party or whatever
Oh,
it is.
yeah, the salon or whatever.
Yeah, her lemon party, whatever it was. Yeah, it's I don't know. What were your favorite movies of the year? Mine was Top Gun Maverick, The Batman, and Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which was like, whoa, didn't realize it would be that good, and have such dark subject matter, dealing with like fascism in Italy. It's crazy. But
Wow.
did you see Pinocchio though?
I didn't, but I keep hearing good stuff about the Netflix one. I heard the Disney Plus one with Tom Hanks was bullshit, and the Guillermo del Toro. Well, I didn't even know it was like stop motion, right? It's animated.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't know that. I just assumed it was like live action. And then the other day, like I saw a trailer for it. I saw like Netflix suggested it to me,
yeah.
and I was like, oh wow, I had no idea this was an animated movie. That's how out of the loop I am on stuff. There's so much damn Star Trek, PJ. I don't have time to think about anything else.
It is a new take on Pinocchio. There are things in it that were never done before, and it's like, oh,
Hmm.
it's it. And what's funny is the remake that Disney made sucks so bad. There are like some scenes with completely unfinished visual effects, like unfinished. The part with the whale in the water and stuff that probably required much more money and time. They just said, eh. They like they literally. It's astounding how bad it looks at the end. Most of it's pretty good. Like a lot of it's photorealistic, but then there are some parts toward the end where it's like, oh, they just. It seems like they just shrugged their shoulders and said, fuck it. And the end sucks. And Tom Hanks is totally wasted. There are parts in it that are kind of cool, but what's funny is Guillermo del Toro was heavily influenced by the original animated Disney version, which is a fucking masterpiece of animation. And it's like he took that and said, "I'm gonna fascist Italy during World War One. Like there are people doing the salute and stuff like this, and it's like there are fascist training camps for youths. There's like death, dealing with death a lot." And it's like it still manages to be like kind of funny and goofy at the same time.
I like the sound of that. I need to check that out. That does sound like something I would really get behind. So I'll try to find time for that. Is it a short movie?
It's like 2 hours.
Okay. I've had enough of like this 3 hours shit.
But the detail and the work that goes into this stop motion stuff. There's a special on Netflix about how it was made. and like
Oh,
the
cool.
fabrics they use on the models and like how they're built and like, it's just crazy. By the way, Kate Blanchett does the voice of a monkey in the movie, and all she does is go ooh yeah and stuff like that. And they got Kate Blanchett, you know what I mean? Like they got her to
That's
be the
funny.
monkey, and she just goes it makes like guttural fucking noises and shit the whole time.
Huh.
There's a part where there's a speaking part I won't give away. It's a weird. It's funny because it's a monkey that uses puppets. So you see that the monkey is like good with the marionettes, and then I'll just give away one part of the movie where the monkey needs to talk to Pinocchio. So you hear Kate Blanchett's voice through the marionettes, but you don't see the monkey talking. You don't see the lips moving up, but you assume it's coming from the monkey, and it's Kate Blanchett, and she does the voice of the monkey. It's like this weird kind of surreal kind of moment where the monkey speaks like a human woman through the marionettes. It's crazy. It's a beautiful movie. It should win Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Okay. All right.
I didn't know it was a contender, but
No, it
I
should
don't
be.
know what is.
It should be. Golden Globes are bullshit, but Academy Awards are. There's such a large voting body that at least some of those fuckers have seen those movies. Anyway, Father, we're at the 2 hour mark, and I think it's time to hang up the cape and retire as Batman.
Well, we'll wait
Or
for the
maybe,
signal.
yeah. But I want to thank you for joining me. I want to thank Geek Filter, Aaron, right?
Yes, yeah, and thank whoever was the other viewer
The
out
other
there.
unnamed person. Starfleet Boy is listening in silence.
Yeah, or it could be my monitor at the FBI is supposed to be keeping an eye on me.
Oh, that makes sense. Alrighty. Thank you, Father, for joining me. It's been a fun discussion. I like talking about the DC stuff. That was great.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that'll be, I'm sure, plenty to talk about in the days to come.
Oh yeah. And one last note on that. Apparently, they're going to start making announcements early next year about what their plans are.
Oh, cool.
Let's just hope it's not a disaster. They can't afford another disaster.
Mm.
WB, Warner Brothers, get your stuff together. The
In
Discovery
James,
merger fucked everybody up. See.
it did, but in James Gunn, I trust. So we might be in good hands.
Oh, we're leaving now, and we finally get more viewers. There you go. Who else is here? Okay, Geek Filter made another comment, but it's just a box. What does that mean? Is that code?
No, he did the live long and prosper thing, the LLAP.
Why can't I see it?
I don't know. It's just the
Is it visible to you?
emoji. Yeah, it's visible to me.
Wow, that's weird. I only see like a box. That's weird.
Huh.
That's strange. Interesting. I am on an old computer, by the way. That's like over 10 years old. It's a desktop that I like took out of storage because my laptop like 2 weeks ago was on Starfleet Boy After Dark. Like almost caught on fire. It
Oh
was fucking
yeah,
so hot.
yeah. I remember that.
Yes, it is weird, Aaron. But yeah.
I don't know. It's the living construct has interfered with it.
Well, actually, before we go, what are some of the things you're looking forward to next year?
Oh, okay. Well, I do want to see what they pull off with Picard season 3. Um, and I'm very curious about more Strange New Worlds. Uh, those are, I guess, the big things for me with Star Trek. And then with other stuff, I was a big fan of Dune. I love the Dune novels, so I'm looking forward to Dune Part 2. That'll be next year.
With Christopher Walken and Austin Butler and all these new additions to the cast that are very interesting.
Yeah, and then of course I'm very very curious as to what James Gunn's going to be doing, especially in regards to the Superman movie, because Superman is my favorite fictional character, like I was saying earlier. So those are the biggest things I'm looking forward. I feel like there's something else I'm forgetting. But yeah, I guess those are the biggest. Star Trek's always going to be the biggest, and then outside of that, it's probably like Dune and DC Superman stuff.
I'm looking forward to Picard season 3 definitely. Like that's the thing I'm counting the days on, even though I'm not a fan of the show itself. It's like I can't wait. I'm kind of interested in Scream 6 because it's like the Jason Takes Manhattan of Scream movies. Like they go to New York and
Oh,
it's like Ghostface in New York and not Woodsboro like every other movie. It's like okay, maybe that could be cool. I'm not interested. To be honest, I will not. I probably won't see anything in the theater except for Dune at the end of next year.
oh, you're gonna see Oppenheimer. You're gonna see Chris Nolan's non CGI nuclear bomb explosion.
Yeah, like yeah, I don't know. I gotta pick like. See, the problem with the movie theaters, it sucks, and I only have the one option. I live in a place where like there is literally there used to be another one in the city next to me, and the seating was shit because some of the seating was like flat, and it's like that's weird. But the screen was always really bright and like crisp and clear, and it always looked really great. But it's like, why can't we get one that has a good screen, but the comfort of the big
Mm.
theater that doesn't give a fuck about what you're viewing? Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. I'm kind of interested in that
Oh
because
yeah.
you have Ron Perlman playing the Barbie movie.
Oh, is Ron Perlman Optimus Primal?
Yes.
Cool. I
Did
didn't
you
know
see the
about that.
trailer for the Barbie movie?
I
It's a parody of 2001: A Space Odyssey with the
I
monkeys.
didn't see it, but I kind of saw it like playing on Facebook. You know how sometimes if you some videos online like they'll play when you just like scroll past them, but I had it like muted. So I did see like the 2001. I saw like this little girl like throwing the Barbie doll up in the air, like the ape throws the bone
Mm.
into in the Dawn of Man sequence in 2001.
I can't wait for the Who's the Boss revival. No, I'm joking. Uh,
I'm sure that'll happen someday.
no, it is. It's filming now or something with Tony Danza and Melissa Milano. I can't. There's not much, uh, too much that would excites me now about next year. Like I'm certainly looking forward to more Beavis and Butthead and South Park, and I'm interested to see when The Simpsons will end because they're coming up on 750 episodes now, and
When
I'm
one of the
thinking,
voice actors dies is what one of the main four. I think that's when it'll die.
yeah, they're all most of them are in their 70s now, and they're playing. It's weird because I started out younger than Bart. Now I'm older than Homer. It's fucking weird. It's like, and it's funny how they do because I've watched all the episodes over like a 3 year period, and it's funny every time they do the flashbacks. It's like Homer originally was like a teenager in the 60s, then he was a
Mm-hmm.
teenager in the 70s, and it got to a point where he was like in a grunge band in the 90s, and it's finally to a point in the more recent season where they do a flashback and it's like the same time as me as a kid with the crystal clear Pepsi and all the 90s fucking shit. I'm like,
That's
God.
that makes me want to just
N-
disintegrate into dust.
Night Court. I liked that show as a kid. I really did. I
You
love
know,
John Larroquette and stuff like that.
Brent Spiner and
Brent Spiner was in it. Yep. He was a reoccurring, and then he left when TNG happened. And then in the show, they made fun of. They kind of referenced TNG with Trekkies who were one was guy was dressed up as Geordi, and I don't know if the
mm,
other guy was Data or not, but it's funny how they had Data or Brent Spiner in it, and then the show was popular, and then they referenced it. Of course, back in the day, they always made Star Trek. Star Trek fans look like the biggest, like Poindexters, kind of like nerdy fuckers that ever existed. Um, there's something coming out next year that I'm really excited for, and I can't remember. Uh, it's a TV show.
The Mandalorian.
Yes, the Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and Secret Invasion. It's the, you know what's funny about recently? You have the first show in Tulsa King, the first show that Sylvester Stallone has ever starred in. It's not that great. Then you have 1923, the first show that Harrison Ford has ever starred in, and now you're getting next year you're getting a show with a Netflix series with Arnold Schwarzenegger, the first series he's ever starred in, and what was the other one? The other person? Oh yes, Samuel L. Jackson.
Hmm.
You've never seen Samuel L. Jackson in a TV. He's made appearances in TV shows, but he's barely ever been in TV, and now it's his first time he's
Yeah.
going to like star. And it looks, if there's any show that's going to be the Andor of the Marvel TV universe, Secret Invasion looks like it has that potential.
Yeah, that barrier has certainly dissolved between TV actors and movie actors. I think
Yeah.
things like True Detective, you have, the prestige era of television, which might be coming to an end now that a lot of people are like cutting back on budgets and stuff. And we had like this mad rush. All the big studios are like, we need a huge content library. We need a huge content library. So you have people, trying to flood their streaming services with new content. But now people are kind of, most corporations right now are trying to cut spending because there's widespread, probably accurate belief of a coming global recession very soon,
Mm.
which is unfortunate. And that's why a lot of places are like laying people off and stuff. But yeah, a lot of the Hollywood and Disney had layoffs. Paramount's actually doing better than a lot of the other people because of how well the new Top Gun performed.
I find Paramount Plus. I have a limited version of Paramount Plus, but I'm like I keep going back to it because I've canceled it a few times. Like I did the trial, and then I canceled, and then I went back to it, and I keep going back to it because they keep giving me things I want to watch weekly. Yellowstone you can get on Prime, but I always don't have Prime proper. So I recently got it again because of 1923. Like I didn't have it for a couple of weeks, and I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta get Paramount Plus again because I like that show and I wanted to keep watching Tulsa King, even though it's not that good. It's just I love seeing Sly Stallone. Hey, you hurt my daughter, I'm gonna kill you. He's a mobster, and they give him these stupid excuses like to like bash somebody's brains in because the show is like gets slow, and they're like, we need something really stupid and convoluted to get the blood boiling in our main character because he's a 75-year-old man. Like, what are you gonna do? Uh, do you watch any of the stuff on Paramount Plus besides Star Trek, like the originals?
I watched the Stephen King thing, The Stand, and then I watched the Jordan Peele Twilight Zone, which wasn't great, but they did have some good episodes in there.
I did not like that.
Um,
It had one with Kumail Nanjiani that was good.
what else did I watch on Paramount Plus? Sometimes I just use it for the movies on there. Like I just recently watched. And Tonya likes to watch Evil. But I just watched Ernest Saves Christmas the other night, and like they have like a lot of the recent Paramount movies, like the Sonic movies, on there. So I like having it for those. I felt like there was another show. What the hell was it? But yeah, those are I guess the main things are of course Star. I watch a shitload of Star Trek though, PJ. When I'm not watching like the new episodes, I've been rewatching a lot of DS9 because Dave and I are about to cover that. So it's
I can't wait till they remaster it. No, we won't get into that. Some of the movies I will see, I want to see, but I won't go see in theaters, like Ant Man and the Wasp. I want to see Cocaine Bear. I don't know if you saw the trailer for that.
I saw the
It's
poster for it.
it's I think it's Ray Liotta's might be his very last movie. Uh, Creed 3 I'm interested in. I like the first two Creeds,
Mm-hmm. Me
and I
too.
like Jonathan Major looks like a friggin' like intimidating beast. Like you need it like that Drago slash Mr. T kind of intimidating.
Who's the foe in the third one?
Jonathan Majors. He's an ex-con, just got out of prison, and he has some kind of grudge, secret grudge at first toward the main character Adonis, and like Adonis helps him, and then like it's one of those things where he turns against him. It's kind of like Rocky Five almost, that kind of same.
Well, hopefully it's better than Rocky Five.
Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
Yeah, I'll see that. That looks fun.
I like the first Shazam,
Me too.
but I had no desire to watch it again when I had the opportunity. I'm like, yeah, once was enough. But I liked it. I mean, I didn't. I would watch the next one. I wouldn't rush to it though. John Wick Chapter 4. I like the John Wick movies, but the more they go on, the like more unbelievable everything is.
I've only seen the first one, but I didn't like
First,
it as much as most people.
the first one is very grounded and realistic compared to the second and third one. The third one gets to a point where it's just you're shaking your head. I don't know. Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know about that. I know Ruben really loves that, but I don't
The
know.
trailer looked fun.
Yeah, Chris Pine.
Yeah, we
Oh,
gotta support our Star Trek alums.
you interested in Super Mario Brothers the movie?
I actually am really looking forward to that. That comes out my birthday weekend, and I think I'm gonna love that. I A lot of people hate that Chris Pratt does Mario, but I think he sounds fine.
He does nothing wrong with like anytime I've heard him in the full trailer or the clip that they showed. It's it's actually good. I forget like I just forgot. Same thing with Luigi. Is a famous person, and
Yeah,
I forget who he was,
it's
but
that skinny dude with glasses. Um, yeah, that
skinny dude with
narrows it down.
glasses. There was a clip. Did you see the clip that they released?
Yeah,
It's
with
like
Toad and Mario like going through like a marketplace or something.
visually and just from a sound point of view, it just on point. It's so faithful. It manages to be like have so many visual references. Like it's kind of like how Lower Decks goes all out sometimes,
Yeah, yeah, it's
where
that
it's just like
same level of detail.
there's a Nicolas Cage vampire movie coming out called Renfield.
Oh
And
yeah,
if you ever saw the picture of Nicolas Cage, he looks just like a reimagined '60s Joker. Like just like.
I love that. And he's gonna be Dracula's little servant bitch boy.
Is that what it
Or is
is?
he Dracula? Well, that's from the book.
Oh, okay.
It's the
I didn't know
the
anything about it. I just know
yeah.
he's a vampire.
No, he's the guy who becomes like Dracula's servant and then is in the insane asylum. Like every
Uh,
Dracula movie does like a version of him.
I thought. Oh, I'm thinking Igor from Frankenstein. Never mind. It's the sidekick. Yeah, Igor's Dr. Frankenstein's
Hmm.
dude. Evil Dead is coming back. They're returning to the well with an actual movie with
With
Bruce
Bruce
Campbell.
Campbell. So will it have anything to do with the TV show?
Wait, it doesn't say in the cast though. Hold on, Evil Dead Rise. It stars Alyssa Sutherland, Lily. Okay, so I guess
Is it another remake?
no. It's a continuation. It's a sequel, but it's going to be on HBO Max. Uh, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 looks really good. There's a part
Yeah.
in the trailer where Peter Quill is like crying. I'm like, oh, what happened? Everybody's saying Rocket Raccoon dies. Like everybody's jumping to that. So
Huh.
wait, did I put up that comment before?
You didn't, but I can explain the context on that because it's really cool. But if you use Paramount Plus, if you look up the animated series on there, the image, the graphic that they use for the tile that you click on to select that show, that was something done by Aaron, who's a graphic design person, and he is also the world authority on the animated series, and literally wrote the book on it with his collaborator Rich Shepus. which I highly recommend. It has a great he designed it. It's a great layout and everything. Very very cool visuals. But the thing he used that he made for the animated series, they took that image and they put it on a piece of merchandise for the animated series that never actually existed, but it was like one of those like little I don't know, drawing pad things that like you get for kids to
Oh yeah,
draw on, and they
yeah.
put they made it look like it was like a real licensed product that would have come out in the 70s, even though like there wasn't licensed TAS merch that looked like that. But it's like, well, I guess it's not that big of a stretch to say that they were there was. So
And they showed it in the show Evil.
yeah, there's I don't watch that show, but I know there's some episode there's like a silent people, like they can't speak for some reason, so they'll have to like have something to like write on to communicate, and that's what they used for the prop department, I guess. They were probably told like yeah, use some 70s cartoon that we own the rights to, and they're like, oh okay, well look at this, and it's like, okay, here's the images we own for that, and they're like, oh look, this one's really cool, and so
It's
that's what
pretty
they went
cool.
with.
Are you interested in the Fast and Furious franchise? You never saw any of them, did you?
I've never seen a single Fast and Furious movie.
You don't need to start. It's okay. He said,
Yeah.
Steven, I
No,
thought
I don't watch it, but my partner Antonia watches it. But I think she's just in love with the dude on that show.
my most anticipated movie of next year is The Little Mermaid. No, no.
Oh, I forgot that's coming out.
The live action Little Mermaid. By the way, the CG in the water stuff, that all looks like they're really nailing underwater slash like CG water effects
Hmm.
perfectly. Avatar: Way of Water showed that. Aquaman, the water effects are here and there, but
They did some water stuff in the new Black Panther too.
which looks really good from what I've seen in the clips and stuff. Um, the funniest joke about the Little Mermaid casting was that the girl's name is Haley Berry, right? She's a twin sister of a girl, and they're singers or whatever, and they were in a show called Grownish, which is a spin-off of Blackish.
Oh yeah, you were talking about that.
So I knew who they were, and I know who she was, but so people were making like an obvious joke. Nobody's this stupid, but they were saying, "Why the hell they cast Halle Berry? Sure, she's good looking and all, but she's a 58-year-old woman or whatever it is." And it's like it's not Halle Berry, it's Haley. People making the joke about like
Yeah, that doesn't surprise
Halle
me.
Berry was cast.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Spider-Man Across the Universe. I'm interested in. I mean, but I don't know. I'm not as gung ho about Into the Spider Verse as other people. Although I acknowledge it's
Me
a very
neither.
well made movie.
It is just like that animation style is just like a little weird for me, and I don't know, like the soundtrack was like a little too like mumble rappy. I like the old school hip hop, like the stuff Uncle Aaron was listening to, and give me more like Run DMC and Black Sheep and Biggie. But uh, yeah, that movie was very very well received. But it it didn't do huge box office numbers. I think the second one will. It's like that word of mouth. It's like that Batman Begins Dark Knight effect we were talking about earlier. I think it'll make Sony a lot of money.
Do you? Yeah, I mean, and that animation, which people thought looked cheap, turns out it's like it's much harder than any other kind. Like the level of detail and layering and like attention to detail in each frame of that style is very difficult to achieve. Transformers, want to see that. The Flash. I'll wait for it when it's on streaming. Uh, there's another Beverly Hills Cop. It's called Beverly Hills Cop Axel Foley / I'm too old for this shit.
A lot of movies need to be called that. That makes me think of The Simpsons when they made fun of Star Trek 6.
Do you know what I think the highest grossing movie is going to be next year? and I think it's a no-brainer. Although it could be something could come along that I don't really see, that maybe Dune Part 2, but I don't think. But Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I think a lot of people. I might be tempted to see it in a theater. It seems to be dealing with time travel.
Oh, huh.
Have you seen the trailer?
No, I'm
You don't care about Indiana Jones.
yeah, I don't want to go down the Indiana Jones rabbit hole again. Like I feel like the only one of those I really love is Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then I think The Last Crusade is pretty good. And then I don't care about anything else about it.
My order of likability is Raiders first, Last Crusade, Temple of Doom, and obviously Crystal Skull at the very last. I
Hmm.
think Dial of Destiny will be better than Crystal Skull, but not as bad as. Oh no, better than Crystal Skull, but not as good as, say, Temple
Temple
of
of Doom.
Doom or Last Crusade. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. Just recently, Tom Cruise did a video where he's in a helicopter with Chris McQuarrie, right? And he's just talking about he's just giving his appreciation for the fans and the audience and stuff about like Top Gun Maverick and all this stuff. And in the video, he's talking while he's jumping, like he's falling out of a plane, but still talking. And it's like, this dude's crazy. But Dead Reckoning is part one. I like those movies. I'm never really that invested as much in the story or characters. I'm really just waiting for the stunts. And if you haven't seen the Mission Impossible movies, just start with 4. Because 4, directed by Brad Bird, is really good.
I've seen the first two, and I everyone tells me they get better after that. Like the third one that JJ did was an improvement over the second one was not good at all.
No, the second one is a looks like a music video slash car commercial. I don't know what. It doesn't
Yeah.
look real. It doesn't look like a real movie. It just looks too sleek and stylish and up its own ass.
It was a lot of like they're out in the desert, like in the rocks and stuff. Is the main thing I remember.
The stunts were cool. The stunts are always cool, but there's a scene in Mission Impossible 2 where the guy's like got the tip of the knife a centimeter away from Tom Cruise's eye. And that was no effect. That was a real.
Hmm.
He's hanging off the rocks. He's really doing that. I don't know if there's an invisible support, but yeah. He did his bike stunts. That's when he really started. It was actually Mission Impossible 2 when people started noticing, oh, he does stunts. Because nobody had heard of Tom Cruise doing anything crazy before Mission Impossible 2. The most that he did was, the kind of hanging. That was the most physical thing he did in the first movie, kind of like hanging on the.
Oh, like the iconic thing where he's like
Yeah.
comes down on the cable and then he's just kind of like suspended there.
And then you get the second one, you get like more fights and like more bike stunts. The third one is good. It's slightly forgettable in terms of like Tom Cruise stunt work for some reason. I can't think of anything specific, but as soon as you get to the fourth one, it's the tall building stunt. Then the fifth one is the hanging off the side of the plane stunt.
Mm-hmm.
The sixth one is
That became like their go-to thing, like starting
it's-
with 4. The
Yeah, the
fourth one was
helicopter
called
stuff.
Ghost Protocol, right?
Ghost Protocol,
And then
it's
Rogue Nation.
Fallout.
Why do I know these? I've never seen them.
There's a really good fight scene between Henry Cavill and Tom Cruise in a bathroom in Fallout.
That's where he has the mustache that they had to CGI off his face for Justice League, right?
Yeah, and there's one really good part where Henry Cavill cocks his fists, like gets his fists ready, and it's in tune with the dun dun. And it's like it's really.
Oh,
good.
like the dun 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 dun. That's funny.
I saw Last Crusade 4 times when it came out. I was 12.
That was probably the best way to see it, is through the eyes of a 12-year-old.
I like in Last Crusade when Sean Connery says to Harrison Ford, "Your best. Losers always whine about their best. the winners go home and fuck the prom queen. No, he doesn't say that. He says that in The Rock.
No, the cool thing in that movie that I always quote is when they're still tied up to the chairs when they're trying to escape the Nazi castle stuff, and when Sean Connery is like, "Our situation has not improved." Like I always quote that.
You know, it's funny. They were close in age. They're not that far apart in age. It's like I think Harrison Ford is only 10 years younger or something.
Than
He's not
Sean
that much.
Connery.
Yeah.
Well, that silver beard, makes you look more paternal, I suppose.
Oppenheimer, I'm interested in. The Marvels.
Oh
They,
yeah, that's next year.
there's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie directed by Seth Rogen. It's an animated film that's apparently like. Why can't they ever get the turtles right?
Sure,
Like
I'll try it. I'll give that a try. That sounds as good as anything else you could do with the turtles.
the Meg 2. I don't know if you saw the first Meg.
I watched it at a friend's house. It looked pretty dumb.
They're making a video game adaptation or a movie adaptation of the video game Gran Turismo, directed by Neil Blomkamp.
Okay, good luck with that.
Uh, Blue Beetle, the guy
I
from
love that's getting a movie. I like the Blue Beetle comics. That's a really cool character.
who's playing Blue Beetle, the guy from Cobra Kai.
Yeah, the Cobra Kai kid.
What's it? Is his name Zolo? I don't
I,
know.
I don't know the name of the actor. Yeah, but yeah, Jaime Reyes. He's in the comics he lives in El Paso, Texas. I think that'd be cool if they kept that for the movie. I don't they might change his location.
We got the
We'll see.
Expendables 4 with Jason Statham, 50 Cent, Megan Fox, Dolph Lundgren, Randy Kocher. Basically, nobody
All the
interesting.
wash-ups, yeah. All the people who couldn't get any other work in Hollywood come be in the Expendables sequel.
We learned this year that Bruce Willis is retiring because he has memory and speech problems.
Yeah, what do you call aphasia? Right? Is that what you call that?
Yeah. Red Letter Media at one point where I think once or twice did reviews of his straight to video stuff, and they actually noticed that he wears an earpiece and like the movies are kind of like constructed in a way just like help him, and like he had to be fed lines and stuff. And like, why does he have an earpiece and then he doesn't have an earpiece? And like they figured out later, and they were kind of making fun of him, and they kind of apologized after, saying like, we found out that he has this thing, and we kind of noticed he was having trouble in movies lately, like it seemed like, and like things had to be heavily edited around him. But yeah, he had a reputation for being a prickly kind of
Yeah.
pear.
Speaking of Kevin Smith can talk for hours on end about Bruce Willis being a dick.
And and it's true. And the thing about Kevin Smith, he wouldn't probably now. I've heard him in recent times kind of like put that stuff behind him. Like there was a time he really resented that whole time in his life, let alone just like what was it, a cop out. Such a like a shitty experience for him, and like all he wanted to do was get high, and that was like something everybody around him, like especially Bruce Willis, did not like. Kraven the Hunter is coming out with Aaron Carter. Not Aaron Carter, Jesus. Oops, sorry. What's his name? Not Aaron Carter. Aaron Taylor Johnson. Poor
Okay.
Aaron Carter. Poor Aaron Carter did die this year, but yeah. I don't know why I said him. But Kraven the Hunter? Who gives a fuck? Who wants to see this shit? They've had Venom. They've had 2 Venom movies, right? And they've had Spider-Man in like 3 of these movies. They can't find a way to have a fucking Venom versus Spider. Since 2007, I've been waiting for them to do that justice. Because that's all I've wanted to see in a live action movie is like a good Spider-Man versus Venom and probably versus Carnage too or something. Maybe Venom and Spider-Man have to team up to beat the worst one, which is Carnage, and that could be a really cool fucking movie. And not even call the movie Spider-Man, call it Ultimate Carnage. Or Maximum Carnage, like the video game from back in the day.
Yeah, Maximum Carnage. That was it was a cool comic story too. That the cool thing about it is it had like a bunch of cameos from a lot of other Marvel characters, like the Avengers and Fantastic Four show up in there.
Okay, I'm almost done with the list here. The Exorcist. There's a new Exorcist coming out with Helen Burstyn from the first one. It's one of these deals where they forget about the sequels and they
Yeah,
just say this is a sequel to the first one.
like Halloween did.
Yeah. I don't know how that's going to be, but she basically admitted, like, oh, why would you come back, like, after all this time? And they've asked you before. And she's like, well, the money was right. They gave me a lot of money. Like, I'm like, that's an honest fucking answer. It's like, why have you only come back now and not before? It's like, well, they dumped a truckload of money on my lawn and I couldn't say no. Then we got Dune and we got Hunger Games prequel. I don't give a crap. Yes, exactly, Joel. They need Spider-Man versus Kingpin with D'Onofrio. You know what the ultimate Spider-Man movie for me would be?
What's that?
Spider-Man with Venom, Carnage, and Kingpin as antagonists. You can do it.
I would like to see Kingpin.
And in the same movie, they kill Gwen, and then he's like, okay, 6 months later, I get over it. Gets with Mary Jane, kills Mary Jane too. No, that would be too dark.
Well, that'd be mean.
Craven the new Morbius. Could be.
Yeah, probably. Keep
Doesn't
making these, Sony. Keep doing them. I didn't see Morbius. I'm probably not going to see Craven, but the next one you do after that, I might go see. So please keep making these.
And then there's a new Ghostbusters, and then there's a new Aquaman. I've Ghostbusters Afterlife. I'm like, it's no good or no worse than the 2016 reboot. It just does nothing.
I liked the first half of that movie a lot because it felt kind of like it was that perfect blend of the same but different. You know, it's like, hey, it's kind of feels like Ghostbusters, but it's different enough. You know, you got like these younger characters. We're out of New York. We're in a different, very different setting and stuff. And then like the last half of the movie, it just did like the Force Awakens thing. Where it's like, you know what? We're just gonna remake the first movie, like
Yeah,
almost beat by beat.
it would have worked out if they'd done something new and interesting that the other. And there are elements like all the different traps set up in the one spot, but I don't know. I like that Egon stuff at the beginning. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool how they're using his character but not really showing him. And like,
Yeah, it's like how do you do Ghostbusters without Harold Ramis? And that was the solution they came up with. But um,
the new
I
one,
think a sequel has a lot of potential because I doubt it's going to be like a beat by beat remake of Ghostbusters 2 with Vigo. So whatever they do, I think it'll feel more original, which is kind of what I wanted from the first one.
the next one is kind of going back to the well, where Ernie Hudson is the mentor of the new younger Ghostbusters, and I'm assuming Dan Aykroyd or Bill Murray may show up, but Ernie Hudson is a main character in it, so
Because he's the cheapest.
I there's not an official title for it yet, but a lot of people are assuming it's going to be called Ghostbusters Firehouse.
Okay. I guess they're
It's
back of the firehouse.
presumably.
So is
Yes,
that going to be those
they are.
children?
Did you watch the post credit scene in the Afterlife?
Yeah, where
Yeah.
he like they go like open shop in the firehouse, but okay. Well, that's cool.
Hello, Ghostbusters. All right. Thank you, Fatheree, for joining me, and thank you guys, Joel and Geek Filter, and whoever else was here, and whoever else is watching in the replay. I hope to get 40 views on this by 2026. Thank you, and good night.
Bye.
Outro.